Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Amonkhet Remastered, this time recorded live because I had some extra time before work to grab a couple more of these drafts, so you might see the chat popping up on screen now and then. And that's what that is. We're actually live on Twitch today, so other than that, it should be pretty standard stuff here. And I'm probably going to slam down Wrath of God, although our uncommon Oketcher's Attendant is also quite good. Ryvok says, hi, YouTube. Ooh, Ryvok actually got to make good use of the Majestic Myriarch, forcing 2 concedes by being massive, so that was cool. Nice. Yeah, I did not get to use mine nearly as effectively. Yeah, I'm not sure what the pick is. It's definitely one of these 2 white cards. I think these are both really good. Wrath of God's obviously great in any slower, more controlling deck, but even in an aggressive deck, being able to get a 2 or 3 for 1 is good. But Oketcher's Attendant just stacks on a lot of really good abilities that work well together, like being able to cycle it and then embalm it from the graveyard, or just being able to play a 3/3 flyer and then bring that back later. I think I'm just going to go with Wrath of God because it also fills out my collection pretty well, just being a rare. But I could see a pretty big argument for Oketcher's Attendant in that pack. And now, the white card's okay. Dauntless Haven's pretty good in aggressive decks that have a lot of exert cards. It's a cheap, evasive card, so it can usually get its attacks off quite a bit early in the game. And it has a good effect when it does attack, because with exert cards, forcing them to not untap in the next turn, being able to just untap them immediately with Dauntless Haven helps a ton. So do like that. I like Aerial Guide a lot in a blue decks, but especially like blue-green, where you can send big creatures into the sky. Some great red stuff here. We've got removal and open fire. If Near Deadlands is actually sweet because it's a land and removal. Lethal Sting's a good removal spell. I think I want to take If Near Deadlands. Don't know how correct that is, but every time I've seen an opponent just slam down an If Near Deadlands, I've always been like, well, this is going to be a bad time. Because just being able to cycle a land to essentially just destroy an opposing creature is really, really nice, even if it only kills smaller creatures. So what do we have here? We have a Desert of the True, which is going to combo really well with our If Near Deadlands. Gives us another desert to sacrifice. So we essentially have 2 different lands we can use as the -2/-2 removal spell. If we have a Deadlands out, that is. Oketcher's Monument can be good in a really aggressive white deck with a ton of creatures, but I'm not sure that's where we're leaning. Both of our 2 cards already are great in a controlling deck, Wrath of God being a board wipe, and If Near Deadlands turning our lands into removal spells. I guess there's a Sifter Worm here, which is one of my favorite cards in the whole format because I just really like drafting the green-blue big stuff ramp deck. Yeah, I could just slam down a Sifter Worm here, see how it goes, but you could also just take Desert of the True there, stick to the cards we've got so far, stick to our guns, but it's early enough in the draft we can stay a little open and just take the most fun, best cards in the pack kind of stuff. Farm to Market's a pretty great defensive spell here. It's a cheaper Divine Verdict, destroying an attacking or blocking creature for only 3, and then if you do have blue mana in the deck, you get to use this as a draw spell later on, or I guess card selection. You don't go up a card with it, since you have to discard as many as you draw. Cartouche Solidarity is one of the weaker cartouches, but it still brings back all your trials, so it's great if you have them. Splendid Agony is a nice cheap removal spell, often getting a 1.5 for 1. I think I just like Farm to Market here, honestly. Just seems like a really cheap way to destroy anything big. And you get that added value if you are playing blue, but you don't even have to play blue for that to be an efficient card. Now what do we got? Not a lot going on in green here. I'm not sure this Sifter Worm is going to pan out into anything, especially because we're seeing some decent white and black cards still in the pack. You know, Doom Dissenter can block twice, blocks as 1/1, dies, blocks as a 2/2. Kenra Eternal's better in the aggressive decks, being a 2/2 that damages your opponent even if it becomes blocked. We're looking more defensive here, so I think I'm a little more in on the Doomed Dissenter for this white-black deck. But there's also Struggle to Survive, where Struggle is just an efficient red removal spell. 3 mana instant speed, dealing damage equal to the number of lands you control. Do I still stay open? You know, I'm still going to stay open. I'll just pick up a Struggle here. I don't think Doom Dissenter is that great, and it usually goes pretty late. So we should be able to get a decent pile of them late in the drafts, whereas Struggle is not a card I expect to go particularly late too often, so it could be a sign that red is decently open. Blue Desert still in here, but outside of that, not much in blue, just a counter spell. I guess we can slam down a Dauntless Haven now to work well with Exert stuff. Ruthless Sniper is good if you have a lot of cycling. Being able to start chipping away at your opponent's creatures, whittling them down, giving them a bunch of -1/-1s. You know, yeah, I'm not really sure where exactly I'm going to be going with this deck. Hopefully the end of this pack will solidify that for me, but I'll take the Ruthless Sniper. I've had some good success with some of the cycling payoffs and stuff, and this seems like a good defensive card as well. Just making your opponent's threats smaller. Well, we have a Sifter Worm and a Struggle to Survive if I want to take a Charioteer. Charioteer seems like a decent signal towards red-green being open. Pick 7 here, because it's a great uncommon. 3 mana for a 3/3 trample, and your whole field gets trample. Although Cartouche of Ambition's pretty great in black, giving lifelink and throwing a -1/-1 counter on something. I think I'm just going to take the Charioteer. Red-green is just a pretty simple strategy to get into, and a strategy that I enjoy, and I do have 2 really good cards for it, Struggle and Sifter Worm. But now we just basically have Splendid Agony being the best card in the pack, followed by like Unquenchable Thirst. We don't have any blue cards yet, so we really have to just scoop up a Splendid Agony, I would say. Not a big fan of Firebrand Archer. This card severely underperformed for me. I think I was too excited about this card because it was a card that actually saw some play in like Pauper aggro decks, but in Limited it's not so good when it's only got that 1 toughness, 2 power, just pretty low stats for its mana cost. Well, pick 9 Puncturing Blow. That's a pretty great sign for red, probably. Although Aerial Guide, that's a great blue common. Just some good stuff in this pack in general. Definitely going to take the red card. We don't have... I mean, we have a marginally blue card. Again, Farm to Market, I see this much more as a white card than a blue card. But I guess slightly blue over there. But we've got a lot more red than blue either way. Desert of the Glorified and Lethal Sting still in here. Huge signs for black. Between those two, we do have an Ifnir Deadlands, which makes the Desert a higher pick, but at the same time, Lethal Sting's such a great removal spell. Destroy any creature for only 3. I don't know, I'm gonna take the Desert there. I feel like in previous drafts, at least the last couple that I've done, I've just not ended up with anywhere near as many deserts as I've wanted, and I didn't even have deserts like the Ifnir Deadlands that wanted me to have a million deserts. I've just wanted the deserts for like cycling and never ended up with them, so I'm just going to make sure that I can slam them down in this draft. Tormenting Voice, Horror of the Broken Lands, or Desert of the Mindful. I mean, now we do have Ruthless Sniper, and blue-black cycling is like a big thing, so I guess we could take the blue desert, but Horror of the Broken Lands is also just definitely going to get played, because at this point we're guaranteed black. We're seeing good black stuff go this late, like Kenra Eternal here is a fine black card, so we may as well take something that's 100% getting played here, even though we might get pivoted into the blue-black cycling deck. We do see a Shadowstorm Vizier for that, also a blue rare here. Commit to Memory. Commit slows down our opponent, and then Memory is very rarely castable in Limited because you're spending 6 mana to give both players a draw 7. So you're tapping out during your turn to sorcery speed, let your opponent draw 7 cards. They get to cast stuff before you do. It's pretty rare that I want to cast Memory, but Commit can slow opponents down. And the fact that it hits a spell or a permanent is pretty decent. What else do we have here? We do have Ramunap Ruins. If we go just like Rakdos here, just red-black. We have Struggle and Puncturing Blow as our only just mono-red cards here. But those are both pretty great. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's just black here that's great. So I can just see taking the best like red card here. Not so sure I want to go with the full blue-black. But we're 100% black here, so I kind of like taking Final Reward. It's definitely going to be good. I guess Gilded Ceradon's going to be pretty good here too. We do have 3 deserts now, so this is a 5 mana 4/4 that shuts off a blocker every time it attacks. Pretty nice. Evolving Wilds is also good, because whatever our second color ends up being after black, This will be essentially a dual land for whatever deck we need. Just good mana fixing. See another green-black split card. This is just a ton of text. I guess it's just like really good if you can get your creatures in unblockably. Get your creatures to damage your opponent. That's what that's all about. Yeah, we're seeing black stuff go really late. I could probably take Evolving Wilds over Final Reward. Even if Final Reward doesn't wheel, the fact that we're seeing so much like great late black removal means that we can fill our deck out with other stuff like more Lethal Stings, because we saw Lethal Sting with like 4 cards left in the pack or something last pack. Now we can take like a Cartouche of Ambition here, making something a big lifelinker and putting a -1/-1 counter on an opposing creature. There's also Doomfall. This is potentially removal, but if your opponent has multiple creatures out, you're spending 3 mana to get rid of their weakest creature, which I'm definitely not a fan of. There's definitely flexibility on this card. If your opponent has a bunch of like tokens or something out, you can just try to rip something out of their hand instead. But I don't know. The red cards here aren't awesome. I don't know. I guess I could try out Doomfall. I have only drafted it like one other time, and I didn't even end up playing it in the deck. So I haven't actually had the experience of casting it and seeing how good that flexibility really is. Some decent green stuff, like a ramp card here, 3/4. Decent white card, the Dauntless Aven. Hey Lunaski, how's it going? Happy Friday. It definitely has been a while since I have streamed on the Twitch. But I had a little bit of time before work, woke up early, so we're playing some Magic. Alright, I like Gravedigger, and I like Desert Ceradon here, and I'm probably just going to go with Gravedigger. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up just like mono black splashing in multiple colors. Black is definitely the main color of the deck here. That is just 100%. We have 2 red cards, 1 green, 2 white cards. So we could be black-white, could be black-red. Probably not black-green. We just have the 1 green card, because this one's 2 color. But, I mean, we've been seeing good green in this pack. We have, like, Spring to Mind here, Beneath the Sands for ramp. We do have Ceradon for red. Good blue Cartouche here, yeah. I guess I'll just take the Desert Ceradon, probably try to be Rakdos here. I do enjoy me a Desert Ceradon, but black is so wildly open that I would not be surprised to potentially be monocolored. It's been a long time since I've been monocolored and limited, but this might be the draft for it. Here I think I will take a Cartouche. This is why I haven't been taking those Cartouches super early. I think they are decently early picks, but they're just going incredibly late in this draft pod. All right, well, thanks for hopping by, Lunaski. I hope you have a good Friday as well. Hope you make it home well. And have fun with whatever you're doing. I'm just going to take another Ruthless Sniper here, see if we get enough cycling stuff to really make good use of it. Edifice of Authority, pick 8. Get in here. Edifice of Authority is good in like any deck that isn't just wildly aggressive, because it shuts off attackers for a few turns, which is great if like if you're on the defensive or if both players are like trying to attack back and forth. But then once you get those 3 brick counters on it, being able to shut off anything is fantastic. We also see Magma Spray and Open Fire in red. Great cheap red removal there. I'm pretty happy being in black with a little bit of red. I think these are definitely the most open colors in this pod. Or at least among the top. Yeah, Cartouche of Ambition with 4 cards left in the pack is massive. That is just super awesome. We only have 9 creatures right now, so I probably need to start picking up some more creatures than I have been. That could be an issue. But other than that, liking the colors we're in. We don't have like any massive bombs in this deck, but we have consistency. We've got a lot of good removal. Some pretty powerful cards in general, like Edifice. We've got good value with cards like Gravedigger. Bit of potential 2-for-1s with Splendid Agony and Cartouche of Ambition. If the Cartouche manages to kill something, then it's essentially a 2-for-1 because you kill something and your creature gets +1/+1 lifelink. So we've got some pretty good cards here. Probably going to just slam down a Bontu. I don't even think Bontu's that good in Limited, but Bontu's Bontu. It's a mythic rare god. 3 mana for a 4/6 Menace Indestructible. However, it can't attack or block unless a creature died under your control this turn. It's one of the hardest gods to trigger. One of the hardest gods to make a creature. Because having to sacrifice a creature every single time is pretty rough. That being said, we're not missing out on a ton. We're missing out on like a Kenra Scrapper that I'd like. Just a good Menace creature here. Or a Kenra Eternal to get another 2-drop. Or a Horror. Yeah, all the cards we're missing out on are pretty replaceable. Bontu is definitely incredibly unique and not particularly replaceable. When we slammed out a Bontu, we're really looking for more Doomed Dissenter type cards that can be multiple creatures off of one card to make it so we might actually be able to get to use Bontu a few times without it being as big of a hindrance, because having to just keep sacrificing your own field is not going to work out forever. Here I will take a Horror of the Broken Lands. Not much else going on there. I guess there's a red Cartouche, but we just don't have any trials in this deck. Lethal Sting, definitely great removal. Burning Fist Minotaur, really great aggressive creature. How are we doing on removal without Lethal Sting? We have Struggle, Double Cartouche, Doomfall, Splendid Agony, Edifice of Authority, Puncturing Blow. I think we're doing alright without this Lethal Sting, and it's possible that it wheels, so I'll take the Great Aggressive 2-drop, because we only have 2 2-drop creatures right now. So we'll take the first striker that potentially... It's got this threat of activation that makes it really hard to block. Even if you don't have anything in your hand that you want to discard towards this, you can easily attack into this into like a 4 toughness creature, and your opponent's almost never going to block, because they know that you can just discard a card and go ham. Well, this is a huge payoff, the pick 4 Trial of Zeal here. Very happy to see that nobody on our right is in red, because Trial of Zeal, this is probably the best trial. A removal spell that you get to recast multiple times is such a big swing in card advantage and just a huge value play that it makes these Cartouche of ambitions in our deck just infinitely better. Because the vast majority of limited games, if our opponent isn't just playing some super big bomb in the late game, if we just trial to kill something, Cartouche to pick up a trial, and then trial to kill something again, that's such a huge swing. It can often win games by itself, even after just casting one trial. Wow, we are seeing great stuff here. We see another Cartouche of Ambition, but we've seen a lot of red Cartouches here that might wheel. So I don't know if I need to slam that down here, but now we have a trial to do so. We see another Edifice of Authority, another Burning Fist Minotaur, and Open Fire. This pack is absurd. I think I take another Burning Fist Minotaur. I think that's what I'm missing out on the most, because now I'm starting to get maybe an excess of removal now that I have a Trial of Zeal here, because this is essentially 1 to 3 removal spells every time we draw it, because we have a couple Cartouches. So cards like the Edifice and the other removal spells we're starting to get pretty full up on, and we do need more creatures still. We only have 13 right now. Soul Stinger or Zealot of the God Pharaoh? Actually, Zealot might be a little better in this deck. I like the idea of Soul Stinger with Bontu to sacrifice the Soul Stinger at instant speed, put those -1/-1 counters somewhere. Soul Stinger is also good with Lethal Sting if we get one of those, but we don't actually have one right now. We've just seen a lot. Cheap little Magma Spray removal here, or Doomed Dissenter. I think, again, I'm low on creatures, and Doomed Dissenter works really well with Bontu, so I'm going to take Doomed Dissenter over Magma Spray. This is such a weird draft pod, because the vast majority of the time I just slam down the Magma Spray, but we've gotten so much removal already, and there's so many cards just wheeling around in our colors that I think at this point, halfway through pack 3, we just have to take the things that we're really missing in the deck, which is just more creatures, early creatures, cards to work with Bontu, and such. Well, Horror of the Broken Lands or Kenra Scrapper. Looks like we have a lot going on at 3 mana. And I love the big cycling card, so I'm just going to take Horror of the Broken Lands over the Scrapper. Might be wrong. Awesome, we did wheel one of these red Cartouches. Definitely going to run that with Trial of Zeal in our deck. By itself, it's only good in an aggressive deck, but when you've got a really good trial in your deck, it's usually worth running it in there for the off chance that you get to cast the two together. We do wheel the Lethal Sting as well. Nimbleblade Kenra or Gilded Ceradon. We have 6 2-drops now. 6 is pretty good. I'll take a Gilded Ceradon, get another 5-drop. Alright, this is going to be a pretty good deck, I think. I mean, I haven't been the greatest at evaluating decks. Oops. I don't know what's going on. Uh-oh. Alright. Sorry, untap.gg just like popped open because I'm streaming, and it was like, make sure to set up the Twitch extension. I should do that at some point, but my streams are so haphazard and unscheduled right now that now is not the time. Good luck with cuts. There's a lot of stuff in here. Oh yeah, there's a lot of cards. I don't think anything in the deck right now is bad. Is like just objectively bad. So we definitely have to make decisions. The Ruthless Snipers might not have gotten there here. We have 18 creatures. I could cut 2 out of here, still run just like 16, so I could cut the Snipers. Let's see how many Cyclers we have. 4. Do we just have 4 Cyclers? Yeah, we only have 4 Cyclers in the whole deck. It does combo with Tormenting Voice forcing us to discard and Burning Fist Minotaur forcing us to discard. Those seem like a little bit of corner cases, though. I guess Tormenting Voice we always discard, but Burning Fist Minotaur is a lot more about the threat of discarding something than actually going through with that plan. So I think it's more consistent we'll be using this with just these 4 cycling cards and the 1 Tormenting Voice, and I'm not sure that that's enough to justify the Snipers. Because on their own, if we don't cycle, I'd say like 2 cards with them, they're pretty mediocre, just a 1-2 for 1. They become pretty irrelevant later in the game. I think I'll get rid of the Snipers. Now we're down to 16 creatures. I feel like I just want to cut non-creature stuff now, and we cut 4. We don't really have any card draw, we just have Tormenting Voice, so I kind of want to leave Tormenting Voice in, but at the same time, we do have like Trial and the Cartouches potentially giving us a bit of value. It's not quite card draw though. We do have Cycling. Most of our non-creature stuff's removal. I guess we could cut this Cartouche of Zeal. This doesn't... It's really not great without a Trial on board. I guess we're not the most defensive deck ever. We do have 4 2-power creatures that we can play on turn 2. We have a 3-power creature we could play turn 3, but there's only 1 of them. We're definitely not curving out consistently with this deck, so I don't think just getting massively aggressive and just getting that little +1/+1 and unblockable boost is all that great. So I think the main value of this is just picking up a Trial, and at that point we can play the Cartouches that also just combo well with our deck. Like, I think the black Cartouches work a lot better for us because they're somewhat removal, and we can throw them onto one of our big creatures like all these and get a bunch of life gain to get back into the game in the late game. I think I'm going to cut Cartouche of Zeal. I definitely like the Ambitions better, and I'm not sure that I need all 3 with only 1 Trial. This might be another time where I'm cutting Doomfall just because it's inconsistent when compared to the other removal in our deck. I'm just going to keep drafting a Doomfall and never end up running it. Because just at face value, just reading the text on the card, I just don't enjoy it. It is probably better than I'm giving it credit for, but I just don't have the experience of actually playing the card and feeling out how good it actually is. So all I have to go by is what it looks like, and it doesn't look that great. I do like the Edifice in here, slow down those faster decks and get to our 5 and 6. Like a lot of our winning the games here is probably hoping to just slam down something like a Ceradon. Or eventually just fight through all of our opponent's creatures with our Mountain of Removal, especially with cards like Trial of Zeal that are multiple removal spells in one. Splendid Agony as well, potentially being 2 removal spells in one. Yeah, it seems like our win condition is really just to clear our opponent's board and then attack with, you know, mid-sized creatures. Edifice does do that eventually. Edifice gets to stop creatures from blocking. 2 more cuts to go. I think this would be a great deck for a Wander in Death. I probably should have taken one of those more highly than I did. But I saw 1 or 2 Wander in Deaths running around. I think I would easily run a Wander in Death in here over a Tormenting Voice. Wander in Death is 3 mana to bring 2 creatures back from grave, or you can cycle it for 2. I like that card better than Tormenting Voice for this deck because we don't really want to cast our card draw till later in the game anyway, so the mana difference between a 2 and 3 mana card isn't super relevant, and just getting 2 guaranteed good cards later is great, especially because we have like the 4 big cyclers. So in the late game, being to spend a Wander in Death to draw a 4/4 and a 6/4 is a lot better than drawing 2 cards blind off the top, because those cards could easily just be, you know, a land and a 1/1. So definitely feeling a little bit of pain there not having a Wander in Death here for the card draw. But at that point, I think I still do want the 1 card draw in here. Definitely not using Struggle to Survive to cast Survive, so I'm going to have to make the mana base myself because Arena wants to throw forests in here for that. You know, maybe I do cut Tormenting Voice. Sure, I don't have any card draw, but Tormenting Voice is just pretty weak card draw. Anyway. And if we can 2-for-1 enough, then we don't super need card draw. I guess we don't have as many 2-for-1s as I keep imagining. Ideally, we just have Trial and Agony pretty much. But I really don't want to cut. I don't want to cut more removal here. And I don't want to cut more creatures. Suppose I could cut could cut 1 more creature here and then 1 non-creature, and then we still have 15. We don't need the full, 17, 18 creatures in this deck if we're not super aggressive. So I could cut 1 of the 2 drops. And with Bond 2, I think I'd rather cut Counter Eternal over anything else. Cut Voice and Horror, Tormenting Voice and a Horror of the Broken Lands. We do have 3 Horrors, they're a little redundant. We also have Ceradon as another Cycler, which fills the same role. High mana Cycler. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut Voice here. I don't know if that's super correct. It's always good to have like a little bit of card draw. I could see cutting the Horror here. I do like these cyclers with like Gravedigger and stuff too. But Gravedigger can also just pick up these 2 drops, so they're good with it as well. Sure, yeah, we'll cut a Horror here. Try that out. Now I need to edit this mana base because it wants 3 forests for Survive. 14 black cards, 8 red cards. Five, 6, 7, 5, 6. We do a 9-7 split. 9-7 seems about right, but we do have a double red card with Puncturing Blow. Don't have any cards that require double black. I guess if near Deadlands. Yeah, so we would need, in order to use if near Deadlands, we need Deadlands out and 2 other black sources. So I need 3 black sources total. Yeah, I think 9/7's fine. We do have an Evolving Wilds to help. I think our mana base looks pretty good. And I'm glad I slammed down the Desert of the Glorified when I did to go with the Ifnir Deadlands and Rabanap Ruins. Because even taking that Desert of the Glorified so aggressively, we ended up with 3 deserts in the whole deck. Alright, let's put on these Hour of Devastation lands. Get our style all ready and thematic. Flavorful lands. And here is our Rakdos Sack deck. But of course, Rakdos Sacrifice isn't really a strategy in Hour of Devastation. It's mainly just kind of Rakdos control here, but just the fact that we have a Bonsu. The fact that we have Bonsu as like the highest rarity, bombiest card in the deck, and it's a sacrifice tribal card. And we do have 2 Doomed Dissenters at least, so we have a little bit to combo with it. Means that I don't know. It's like we're going Sakdos in a format where it's not even a thing. So it's a confusing Sakdos deck. Alright. I'm excited to play this deck out. It's going to be weird playing a Rakdos deck that's just like... a pile of removal and some 5-drops and 6-drops to try to close things out. I'm so used to Rakdos back in Ravnica Allegiance. I drafted that a lot. I think that there's a highlight on my Twitch channel that's like a 7-0 Rakdos deck from Ravnica Allegiance. Those were so aggressive. Yeah, it feels a little like Dungeons & Dragons Rakdos here. But no treasure tokens, no stealing our opponent's creatures to sacrifice them. Just the... the stupid untap.gg thing is popping up again because I'm streaming. I'm just going to move it to the side then instead of closing it so it doesn't pop open on me again. Alright, we'll definitely keep this. But my train of thought has been derailed by untap.gg. Alright. I could play Doom Dissenter first so I can Lethal Sting something and not really lose out, but I'm just going to play Kenra Eternal since we're on the play. If they don't play a blocker, we just slam in for 2. If they play like a 2/2 blocker, I guess we can trade it and still slam in for a damage. 1/4 blocker. Kenra Eternal's also better against a 1/4. Because I'm not going to Lethal Sting a 1/4, and the Kenra Eternal still gets in for damage. So that's nice. Play our Deadlands here. Might as well. Let's show off our fancy land. Be prepared. The Deadlands are coming for you. With the freaky horrors in the background. I think that's what those are. Horrors. It might be demons. A Kenra Eternal of their own alongside their Doom Beetle. Seems fine to me. We don't have anything to Gravedigger back right now. I guess I could send in the Eternal, see if we trade, and then I just get some Gravedigger value here. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That means I still get to play something here. Because otherwise, like, I'm not spending a removal spell there, so I'd just be sitting there doing nothing for the turn. Probably better to curve out, even though the Gravedigger could potentially bring back a higher impact card later. It's probably better to keep actively doing something. Ooh, Horror of the Broken Lands. Yeah, that's probably right, Ryvoke. It's probably a, it's probably Demon Horror in a very Simic fashion. Horror of the Broken Lands, get out here. 4/4 to beat through that 1/4. Suppose I could attack with Gravedigger and Doom Dissenter here, because then if they block the Doom Dissenter, they take 2 damage and I get a 2/2. which would make it so by attacking with 2/2/2s every turn, one of them gets past the Doom Beetle. But because I have Lethal Sting in hand, I really like having a Doom Dissenter on this board. And the fact that they did just have the Splendid Agony means I think it's definitely worth it that I just held on to this. And now I get to Lethal Sting their Horror of the Broken Lands, and also cast a Kenra Eternal this turn, which is wonderful. They know I have Kenra Eternal, so I might as well just main phase it. And they're tapped out. It's not like they're going to play around me doing some weird trick. Cartouche of Ambition. Make our Horror of the Broken Lands a 3/3 and their Doom Beetle a 2/5 lifelink. Well, Puncturing Blow is going to slap that Doom Beetle. Is it better to just play Puncturing Blow right now or play our 6/4? I think it's better to just get the blow out of the way. Because then we get to attack in with all this turn. They just have a 1/2 on board. I could have a bigger attack next turn, but I'd rather just have the biggest attack possible right now. Plus, this way, if they have the green Cartouche as well, that would make the Doom Beetle like a 3/6 lifelink. So I really want to play around the green Cartouche there. Because then they'd have a 3/6 lifelink and fight off our 3/3. That would be a huge bummer. Splendid Agony here means we can use that as a combat trick to eat up the Horror of the Broken Lands. I could also just Ifni or Deadlands it, but if I sacrifice a Desert right now, not only will I lose the Deadlands, but I won't have the mana to cast Desert Ceradon in the future. I'm just going to slam it in all attack. If they block a 2/2 with their 4/4, we can 2-for-1 ourselves. Otherwise, we do get the 1-for-1 trade with Splendid Agony, which is wonderful. We do get the 1-for-1 trade. Trade Agony for Horror. Doomfall to have us exile a creature. We will exile our zombie token. They're down to just their 1/2 Naga Vitalist and 1 card in hand. They scoop them up here. At 3 life, they could survive 1 turn. Actually, no, I have Ifnir Deadlands out. So our opponent saw that we had lethal before I did, as is usually the case. I got that slow brain going on. So here's what I'm going to do. After this draft, I'm going to pause the stream for a moment so I can set up the untap.gg Twitch extension, because it is a good Twitch extension. But it's mainly so it stops like popping open this annoying pop-up while I'm drafting. It's very distracting. Well, that was a pretty great game. We just kind of curved out like a regular aggressive Rakdos deck there. Our stack of removal was super helpful. The Ifnir Deadlands, making sure that we just clear that blocker out at the end game, getting him to lose 1 turn earlier. I definitely really like the Ifnir Deadlands. It's probably the best uncommon desert. Roundnap Ruins was the best uncommon desert for standard, because like mono red aggro, just being able to sacrifice your lands to damage your opponent is wonderful, but the best limited one has got to be just the mediocre removal spell slapped onto a desert. Another spicy hand here. Well, nothing on the board. Let's just get aggressive. Even if they play a blocker here, for 3 mana I wouldn't expect one that's big enough to survive a Burning Fist Minotaur if we discard a card to it. So we get to just play our land next turn, slam in with the Minotaur, threaten to discard something, don't actually go through with it, and then play a 3/3. Our 3/3 can't block here, so it might be worth just blocking their Thorn Moloch. Probably not. Probably just stay aggressive here. No, we curve out pretty well, and we can shoot that Moloch down if it's a problem. We can just shoot down their biggest creature. We've got great blockers when we need them with Doom Dissenter giving us a couple trumpers. Four mana for our opponent now, with 5 cards in hand, and a Deem Worthy gets cycled, dealing 2 damage to the Burning Fist Minotaur. Deem Worthy, a super sweet removal spell. 4 mana to cycle it to do 2 damage to a creature and draw a card. Definitely feels like a miniature blowout every time it happens. Do I want to Puncturing Blow the Moloch or just play a 1/1? I'll just play a 1/1 Doom Dissenter. This will die and turn into a 2/2. So now we're at 18 to 15. Both of us still plenty of cards to play around with, and Crypt of the Eternals is the land for turn for our opponent. This can filter your mana into a blue, a black, or a red. So it is the Grixis colors, the Nicol Bolas colors there, so some mana fixing for them. They could be like a red, green, black. That would make the most sense, because we've already seen red mana from them. That way Crypt of the Eternals is essentially like a black-red dual land. But maybe they are 4 colors and they need the blue, black, or red. But I would expect the most likely outcome here is that they're just like Jund, using this for black-red. Suppose we'll see as things progress here. It's possible they're also just like splashing in a Nissa, like they're red-green splashing in a blue card, and then this is a red-blue duel. Pretty flexible card here, the Crypt of the Eternals. The opponent is thinking it through here. They did just play a land that can tap for multiple different colors of mana. And they have 5 cards still in hand, so a ton of options available. I'd expect the Thorn Moloch just attacks in, because it won't block my 3/3 well unless they hold an instant up for its prowess. And even if they do, their Thorned Moloch only has first strike when it's attacking, so it would just be a trade if they prowess trigger once on a block. Alright, they pass through the whole turn. It's possible that they're just having connection issues. Usually give it the benefit of the doubt the first time the rope comes up, because there are a lot of options in this game of Magic, and I'm a relatively slow player, so I do get the rope relatively often when I'm just trying to think. But it's starting to look like her opponent might have connection issues, unfortunately. I feel like this has happened a lot more often since they made the mobile version of the game, which makes sense. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are just like drafting on the drive. Well, hopefully not while they're driving, but in the passenger seat on like the drive home or something like that. I'm gonna be honest, I would if I could, but my phone is not new enough. I keep getting ads to download the mobile version of Magic Arena, and every time I click them, it brings me to the Google Play Store, and it's like, oh, this app does not support your device. I'm like, god dang it. The phone is too old. So this may just be... Okay. Alright, they are back. They just skipped one turn there. Not the end of the world, but definitely not ideal. I was going to say this may just be the disconnect from opponent, but they did make it back in eventually, which is good. So 5 cards in hand, 6 mana up. They do have a final reward to eat our Horror of the Broken Lands, which gives Thorned Moloch the prowess to attack in for 3 here. We can block and then crack back for 5. I like that a lot. We just have a second Horror of the Broken Lands. Great draw there. I think I'm just going to slam that out. I could Splendid Agony, but I only have the 1 black mana, so I don't really want to do that unless I had... If I had double black here, there's definitely an argument for playing Doom Dissenter and Splendid Agony. But the fact that I only have the 1 black, meaning I can only cast 1 spell this turn, I should probably just cast the biggest spell that I can play, the highest impact card. And then we can just use our Splendid Agony or Puncturing Blow to clear the way and try to get in for lethal this next turn. And, well, I'm glad I didn't play Splendid Agony, because now I can just kill 2 creatures off of the 1 card, which is always wonderful. Then they just have 2 2/2s left. They have 1 green mana up. I would expect there's no 1 green mana instant for them to cast here, so they shouldn't get a Prowess trigger. So I can Splendid Agony to kill the 2/1s. That leads into a great attack in with the 4/4. I can actually just attack in with everything. Yeah, and they scoop them up. Because I was going to say, the only way they kill the 4/4 is if they double block. If they double block the 4/4, they take 5 and the other creatures are alive. Their best block in terms of killing the best creature while losing the least would be to double block the 3/3 with 2 2/2s, but they'd go down to 2 life in order to do that. So it's a really rough position for them either way with that attack coming in. Definitely unfortunate that our opponent got a DC to miss a turn there, because I think that turn actually did end up mattering a lot, because they had a ton of just like 2 mana creatures to dump out on the board there. If they managed to curve those cards out when they wanted to, then they would have definitely taken less damage over the long run. So not much of a fair game there. Heading into round 3 though, we are playing against a mythic player. Let's get in there. Trial of Zeal and Cartouche of Ambition, don't mind if I do. The only issue with this is I don't have any creatures to throw them on, but I have 6 2-mana creatures in the deck. So statistically, there are quite a few cards we could pick up that can help us cast that Cartouche. Even if it's just like a 1/1, I'll throw a Cartouche onto it if it means I get to cast my Trial of Zeal again. Wasp of the Bitter End, a 2/1 flyer. When they cast a Bolas, they can sacrifice it to destroy a creature. I don't actually want to Trial of Zeal that, because I can kill it with a Cartouche of Ambition. So I'm going to just play a Doom Dissenter here. The reason is because the ideal curve now is to play a Doom Dissenter, Trial of Zeal whatever creature has more than 1 toughness. Then I can get the ultimate value by Cartouche of Ambitioning to give their 2/1 a -1/-1 counter and pick Trial of Zeal up. So that's our plan now. We're going to Trial of Zeal something else, not the 2/1. Please play something else. Awesome, a Binding Mummy. We will Trial of Zeal that all day long. It's not even that big, but whatever. Give us the more value. Give us the extra Trial of Zeal here. Shoot that 2/2. Do they have a 1 black mana combat trick to save it? They do not. And now we get to attack for 1. I'm guessing they have a 1 black mana Cycler in hand. Could be like the 5 mana 4/4, the Horror of the Broken Lands, like I have. Another 3 toughness or less creature here would be beautiful. Yep, Bone Picker, we can kill that with the Trial of Zeal. One thing I do not like here is throwing a Cartouche of Ambition onto a 1/1 to just have a 2/2 lifelinker is really not that impressive, but all in all, it's still worth it to pick up the Trial of Zeal here, even if we do just lifelink in for 2 a turn. Yeah, I mean, we have to wait quite a bit if I want to drop a Gilded Ceradon out, and throw a Cartouche of Ambition here. If I had an untapped land here, I'd probably just drop Ceradon, but the fact that I have to wait 2 turns just to play the Ceradon, and then another turn to play the Cartouche means I don't think I can afford to wait. We are at 16, taking 5 in the sky every turn if I don't Cartouche right now. I guess I could Puncturing Blow instead. Then I'm not under as much pressure. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to just pop the Cartouche here. I mean, now even just getting in for 2 lifelink a turn is pretty big when I'm only taking 3 a turn. And if they take this trade, I'm still all about that, because then I just get to hold on to the Trial of Zeal for later. And one of the things that's really nice about having Ramunap Ruins and Ifnir Deadlands in the deck is now I don't even have to feel bad about like playing the desert instead of cycling it. Because now even if I top deck like a basic here, it's possible that this desert gives us more value off of a sacrifice later. So it's not like we've just lost all value out of the land by not cycling it. And we definitely want it on board. We want to be able to either cast 2 spells, Trial and Dissenter, or just cast our Ceradon next turn. There's their own Cartouche of Ambition, making Bone Picker a 4/3 here. Trial of Zeal can get stopped by a combat trick now. They can give it +1/+1 for 2 mana, definitely. So at this point, honestly, I think I'm just going to Puncturing Blow that thing. Because I feel like you don't play Cartouche of Ambition there if I can just Trial and kill the Bone Picker. Like, they know that I have Trial, so I feel like they're not going to play that unless they have a combat trick here. Like, I suppose I get to attack in first and just see what happens here, but I'm fairly certain they just have, like, Inno Catcher's Name or something to make it 4 toughness for the turn. So I'm just going to drop Puncturing Blow and see what happens instead. And then, sure, I can just still hold on to the Trial of Zeal for something else. Alright, so we cleared it out. We're not going to see whatever combat trick it may have been. Because if it was a combat trick, it wasn't enough to save it from Puncturing Blow. Gilded Ceradon's pretty nice here, but I'd expect that they have removal by now. They just don't want to remove a 1/1. This Soul Stinger, we're probably going to cast this as a 4/5. Just throw its -1/-1s onto one of our doomed Dissenters. They do have the removal spell. It's a compulsory rest on the Ceradon, and a Fan Bearer is the play for turn. Do I just shoot that with Trial? Oh, I just sacrifice a Desert of the Glorified instead. That's wonderful. I mean, I don't get that aggressive if I just kill it right now. I could just play like our 4/5 first. Yeah, let's curve out first. Let's get as much power out as we can. Play Soul Stinger as a 4/5 by putting the counters on the Ceradon that's already basically dead, and then just play the Doomed Dissenter. Pass the turn here. We can wait to kill the Fan Bearer until we're actually going to get in for like 6 damage instead of just 1. They could play another creature here, but if they play a creature that's better than Fan Bearer, we can hopefully just Trial it. But if it's a creature that they can cast and still hold up like a white and 1, then I would be a little worried about the possible pump spell. Alright, now we'll just Ifnir Deadlands. And I can do this and cast Burning Fist Minotaur, which is wonderful. And also the fact that I get to do this twice is exceptional. I get to sacrifice the Desert of the Glorified, and then I get to sacrifice the Ifnir Deadlands later, if need be. Alright, they're going to tap down the 4/5, so they just take 2 this turn. And we'll drop down a Burning Fist Minotaur. I suppose... Ooh, Supernatural Stamina to return it from the grave to the battlefield tapped. Okay, so they still have a Fan Bearer. Fair enough. We'll just play a Burning Fist Minotaur. We could play around a Wrath, I guess, because they're white and black. Both of those colors could have Wraths in this format. I think both of those colors have like 3 different Wrath effects at rare in the format. If they Wrath us, we still have 2/2/2s on board. The fact that we have Doom Dissenters means we already have like a bit of built-in Wrath Assurance, so I'm just going to drop the Minotaur. Probably don't want to go too much farther in terms of how much I'm committing to this board, but for now I'm all about it. I only have one more desert in the whole deck. Yeah, there's a 1 in 23 chance of me drawing another desert, so I'm just going to sacrifice the Deadlands now. Oh, no, I can't. I need another black source. I need to hit another swamp. Well, Trial of Zeal it is, then. It's not ideal, but if they had anything better for me to shoot with a Trial, I feel like at this point they 100% would have played it already. Because they're just facing so much damage here. They have to try to tie up as much of our mana into our removal. Maybe they just have a ton of supernatural staminas. Nope, not this time. This time, the removal goes through. The fan bearer is dead. I'm going to hold on to this land so I can discard it for a Burning Fist Minotaur at a later time if need be. Also probably not sacrificing the Gilded Ceradon because I can just keep throwing -1/-1 counters on it if I draw more Soul Stingers. I don't remember if I have more Soul Stingers in this deck. But I guess, you know, just in case. There's a Soul Stinger of their own. That's going to be really annoying to deal with, because when it dies, it's going to kill one of my cards. Does 2 damage and then gives -2/-2. So it kills Burning Fist Minotaur no matter what I do. Yeah, I feel like that's what they do. We attack with these two now, and then they kill Burning Fist Minotaur. Splendid Agony, that doesn't help against that. That's just going to make it kill something even better. But Splendid Agony is definitely helpful for other stuff in the future. If I attack all and they just block a Doom Dissenter, they take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's attack all. If they just block a Doom Dissenter, whatever, we get a 2/2. We get a 2/2 and we get a boatload of damage in. I feel like they have to just like block Soul Stinger or kill Burning Fist Minotaur here. Or block Burning Fist Minotaur, that works too. I guess that does force me to discard a card, and then they kill the Burning Fist Minotaur. Luckily I do have the land to discard. I guess they could be a little fancy here because it's first strike. They could put the -1/-1 onto Soul Stinger to stop a little bit of damage because they're stopping during first strike. Seems weird to me though because they could just like permanently kill one of my creatures instead of just stopping a couple damage. But I suppose that could be them trying to play to their outs, and their outs are just like a Wrath effect at this point where it doesn't really matter what creatures they remove. Yeah, they're just going to scoop them up now because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage on board. 1 off from lethal. But I could do the really fancy play in Splendid Agony to kill my 1/1s to turn them into 2/2s there and then have lethal. I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I'm that bold, but I guess that would be a possibility. That would be immediate lethal. Alright, another Mythic player here. We are 3-0 now, so I only need to win one more game to pretty much break even. So, super happy with this draft thus far. I'll keep the 7 and drop a Desert of the Glorified turn 1 here. Well, if I have 3 lands guaranteed, 3 mana is all I need here. It's possible that cycling this desert could be good, so I'm just going to start playing the basics instead. Playing against blue and white. Oh yeah, we've got 4 lands in hand. We're very likely to cycle this desert now. Not right now, but in the future. So we've got our little 1/1 Doom Dissenter out. Our opponent has their lifelinking Solitary Camel, thanks to their desert. So 3/2 lifelink out there. Probably just want to Splendid Agony that. So I'll just play an untapped land. Do I want to Splendid Agony it right now? Because they are playing blue. They have double blue and a white right now. Blue-white could also just have a bunch of 3/1s and stuff, but if they had them, they're 2-mana cards, so they would have played them already. I'm probably just killing this camel, but... just trump block for now to get a better Doom Dissenter. I guess Doom Dissenter also works to make the Soul Stinger a 4/5. I don't like how long it took them to pass after they saw that it was unblocked. Makes me feel like they might have some kind of pump or something here that they were considering using. I guess I'll take the 3 and wait to Splendid Agony till the end step here, because it's also possible they play a better creature. Well, Aven Windguide is a better creature, but it's not small enough to kill with Splendid Agony, but I could turn it into a 0/1 Flying Vigilance. But because it has Embalm, if I turn it into a 0/1, they'll just trump block with it eventually and bring it back. So that's not great. Yeah, I probably should have just killed this camel during my turn. That was not an ideal swing of things there. We're going to play a massive Soul Stinger and use a Cartouche of Ambition on it to be lifelinking in with a 5/6. That'll make the race very much in our favor unless our opponent has removal here. They do have Hieroglyphic Illuminations to draw a couple cards to dig towards the removal, so I would not be surprised to see removal from them in the near future. We'll play land for turn so I can cycle this desert, but I think I will Cartouche here. I guess I could play a Zealot instead. If I Cartouche, I turn the Wind Guide into a 1/2, which means both creatures get to attack, and I gain 5 immediately. Yeah, the fact that I have double Cartouche here and a desert to cycle so I can still spend all 5 mana here means I am going to Cartouche here. Turn the Wind Guide into a 1/2 to get in with my 5/6 and my 2/2. And then I can just cycle the desert during their end step, and in the future, I can cast our Zealot of the God-Pharaoh and throw a Cartouche onto that. So this is really cute with the Cartouche, because Zealot of the God-Pharaoh has a 5-mana ability to do 2 damage to an opponent. And whenever we deal that 2 damage, if it has lifelink, then we'll also gain 2 life. So that's a pretty cute combo. So our opponent on the blue-white deck here definitely has a ton more cards than us. They've just drawn 2 off of the Hieroglyphic Illuminations. They have 5 in hand and they pass the turn. That is really threatening. We have 3 cards in hand, one of which we're cycling right now into just another land. If Near Deadland's a great draw. Not going to use that quite yet. So I think I just play my Swamp, and then they won't play around the Deadlands at all that way. Because we're not going to kill the Wind Guide again because it has an Embalm ability come back from the grave. So did anyone order a counterspell? Yeah, if they have 5 cards in hand and they just pass turn here, I'm expecting a counterspell, but I'm just going to slam in here. How bad is it if they counter a Zealot? It's not the end of the world if all this stays on the board. Could be like a Wrath also, like a Wrath of God or something. We're in a great position to kind of just keep slapping them. So I'm just going to pass. Yeah, now they just spent their turn doing nothing. They just pass with 6 mana up. And then I just pass with 6 mana up. No instant speed tricks from our opponent. Just counter spells, I'm guessing. Now they're tapped out, and now I'll drop a Zealot. Or I suppose I'll drop a Desert Ceradon instead. Great draw there. I could play a Cartouche here. I could go... Yeah, it's probably better to go Deadlands, Zealot, Cartouche, because that'll turn it into a 1/2 again. And I'll put lifelink on the zombie. Well, the idea of like gaining life every time we shoot our opponent with Zealot is really cute. But I'm going to get the extra damage in right now, because I am still moderately expecting a Wrath from our opponent. So we'll get all the damage we can in. Now if they Wrath us, they're still down to 6 and we play a 6 power creature. Alright, they just scoop them up. I guess they just have nothing in hand. I want to imagine that they had counterspells in hand, but we'll never have that confirmation. If they did, then the just passing turn there worked so well. Because by passing turn, they got to cast nothing with all their untapped mana, and then they just had to spend all their mana to get another blocker out. And then after they did that, it's like, all right, here's 2 spells that you can't counter. He could have had a counter spell. He only had 1 mana untapped when we cast our stuff. So if they had just a ton of counter spells in hand and no Wrath effect, then they kind of just got hosed. We know they had no Wrath effect. We don't know if they didn't have a counter. That's one of those games I would really love to see what was in their hand, because they had so many cards and they weren't playing land for turn. And I mean, there's an argument for like holding 1 land in turn to bluff things, but not when you have like 6 cards in hand. So they definitely would have been playing every land for turn if they had them. All right, I'm gonna mulligan here. Yeah, this isn't super keepable. We really need to hit a black source. But this is definitely keepable. A little bit slow, but that's okay. We've got turn 3 struggle. Hi, no one. How's it going? Played some Amonkhet drafts, doing really well this time. We're 4-0 so far with this just Rakdos deck. Pretty basic stuff. A lot of removal, some decent late game creatures. Got like 6/2 drops as well. I kind of want to get rid of a land here, but at the same time I have 2 5-drops, so I'm probably not supposed to. I feel like I draw a decent amount of lands. We have 6 2-mana cards in the deck too, so we could draw some cheap stuff to play even if we don't hit mana. And we can always cycle our Horror of the Broken Lands if we don't hit mana. By cycling the Horror, we can try to turn that into a land. Grab a red source. We do have a double red card, but no double black. When we do hit Kenra Eternal, we hit one of our 2-drops. So we get off the ground running here, which is beautiful. Love having Struggle here. Oh yeah, Struggle is going to be great. As is Cartouche of Ambition. Make this a 3/3 and that a 2/1. Oh, no problem, no one. I'm glad you're enjoying the drafts. Yeah, Cartouche seems really good here because we get the attack in, we win the race with lifelink. We can hold on to our other removal for bigger creatures. Our opponent's stuck on mono green here, so they could just be having some poor luck. I would expect, yeah, I was going to say, I expect an attack in, whether or not they exert, just because they can't block well now. Yeah, Amonkhet's a pretty fun format. Definitely has really good flavor, all the Egyptian theming, and all of the Nicol Bolas theming. That's the part I really love, because I love Nicol Bolas. Alright, looks like our opponent's just stuck on mana. We're definitely playing this desert, not cycling it, so I'm going to play it right now so that Struggle deals 4 damage if they have some weird untap spell here. They do have a flash creature, so we're going to shoot that with Struggle so that Kenra Eternal survives. Dealing damage equal to the lands we control. Yeah, this black Cartouche has been so sweet. I do feel a little bad for our opponent at this point if they still haven't hit their second color here. Well, we're not putting like a mountain of pressure on. They have to take the 2-for-1 to get rid of the Kenra Eternal here. Just stop the bleeding there. Still 1 mana off from the 5-drops. We're so close that I don't want to cycle the Horror now, because we're only 1 land draw away, so I'm just going to play our 2-1. Hooded Brawler, a 3/2 from our opponent. Our first striker gets in really well. because, you know, first strike, that'll just eat that before it can deal damage. So we get 2 damage in there. Now we play a Bone Slasher. We've got a Lethal Sting to clear a big blocker out of the way. Pretty much just set here. As soon as we hit another land, we get to play some big creatures out. Hooded Brawler is still pressing in here. We're at 25, so we're going to take this. We can't block with our Bone Slasher anyway. I forgot this Burning Fist Minotaur is not a zombie. We need a zombie on board to be able to block with the Bone Slasher. Doom Dissenter is really good with Lethal Sting. It gives us something to throw that -1/-1 counter onto. Let's see what they're doing with this untapped 4 mana here. It could be flashing in a Cheetah again. If they flash in a Cheetah, they can take the trade with Bone Slasher, that's fine. They won't trade with Minotaur, because Minotaur has first strike. Alright, so trade with the Bone Slasher. Good deal. We'll play our Dissenter. Initiate's Companion, a little 3/1 here. They might be mono green for all we know at this point. This is a lot of cards for being stuck off a color. Alright, well, with the ability to discard stuff to Burning Fist Minotaur, we can still get in really well. Ooh, and Trial of Zeal's the draw. This is exceptional if we draw any more cartouches, but even without, this is pretty good here. I don't think that we do this pre-combat. If we do it pre-combat, we can just kill, like, the Hooded Brawler. And then I don't have enough mana to discard a card to the Minotaur. I have enough mana to discard 2 cards to the Minotaur if they block with the whole field, and then I just shred the field away. I think I just attack with Minotaur. No blocks. And then I just Trial. Shoot the... I could even shoot the Vitalist now if we're scared of big creatures coming out, but we have a Lethal Sting now with the Doom Dissenter on board, so I'm not really scared of big creatures. Just scared of decent blockers here, so we'll get rid of the best blocker. And, I mean, at this point we might cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands, because it feels like we're never hitting that 5th mana. And it's getting kind of important, because getting a 4/4 that can shut off a blocker every turn is very, very big when your opponent's at 8 life. 4 is half their life total. Oh, thank you very much, No One. Thank you for the sub. Yeah, I think Twitch might be erroring. I've got the alerts and everything set up. It's been a little weird today. But I very much appreciate it. I swear, it happens every time. I'm going to go for the cycle, and I'm going to hit my 5th land right when I do. But then if I don't go for the cycle, I'm never going to hit the 5th land. Oh boy. I'm not going to do it. Oh, the hard reads. There we go. 5th land didn't cycle. Slam in for 2. Alright, well we're at that awkward point now where I actually don't want to discard to the Minotaur. I guess I shouldn't have played the land, because I might just discard the card here to clear their field. We'll get rid of the Vitalist though, then their only creature left has 1 toughness, so Doom Dissenter can fight into that well. Yeah, we'll take the 1/1 trade with Minotaur. It's kind of accomplished its goals here. It got in for a ton of damage. Now it's going to 1/1 trade. It's okay. Our Minotaur can go to sleep now. Alright, now we play a Gilded Ceradon. We get to shut off a blocker every turn. We get to Lethal Sting another blocker if they play another one. Survive's just going to be staring at us from the graveyard all game because we're not playing green. Prowling Serpapard, 4/3 that can't be countered and stops all counter spells. Pretty cool, but I'm just going to sting that. Well, am I going to sting it? I can just shut it off as a blocker here. They've got 1 green mana up. Yeah, no, let's just curve out, stay aggressive. Say the Serpapard can't block here. We're at 22 life. We don't have to worry about it hitting us. So we can just play another 4/4 here. Get that much closer to lethal next turn. And Ceradon's another sweet draw. Now we have a 6/4 when we hit our 6th mana. Ooh, that's rough, no one. That's rough. Yeah, it always is really rough when these cards that are clearly made for constructed, that just hose very specific things. When they come in to hose you, it's always a really rough time. I'm pretty sure at that point our opponent was 2 colors and did not hit their 2nd color all game. That's pretty brutal for them. Yeah, they drew 18 cards and never hit a 2nd color. Oh yeah, I think we're 4-0 now. No one, we're doing pretty well. Oh, we're 5-0. 5-0 with Zakdos? We'll show off the deck again for those who have come in the middle of the draft. Pretty nice deck here. It's a massive mountain of removal and a little bit of a funky curve. We're calling it Zakdos with a question mark because we have Bontu in here. I don't even know if Bontu is good because there aren't that many cards to sacrifice easily. Bontu can't attack or block unless a creature died under your control this turn. So basically, unless you start sacrificing stuff to the 2-mana ability, Bontu sits there doing nothing. But if you do that, then you're attacking him with a 4/6 Indestructible Menace or blocking with it. So it's good with cards like Doomed Dissenter, of which we have 2. And that's about it. We don't have anything else that really works well with Bontu, but it's a mythic rare god. I wanted to try it out regardless. We haven't drawn Bontu yet, so I don't know how good that is, but the rest of the deck is sweet. Just the removal's been great. Struggle, instant speed, damage equal to the lands we control, puncturing blow, 5 damage exiling a thing, lethal sting, destroying anything, splendid agony, clearing out small creatures. Trial of Zeal has been an absolute house, but I've gotten absolutely destroyed by this card before, so I already knew that. Trial of Zeal is just ridiculous if you can cast it twice in one game. 3 mana for 3 to a target's already just a great rate for a sorcery speed removal spell, and then if you cast a Cartouche of Ambition, or any Cartouche when you have a Trial on the board, you get to throw your Trial of Zeal back into your hand and then play it again, do 3 damage to another one of their cards, so that's been fantastic. We haven't drawn the Edifice yet, but the Edifice, it's a nice kind of ice manipulator sort of effect. We slow down our opponents for a bit, but the main power of this card is once you get all the brick counters on it, you can use it to shut off blockers as well. So this is like a late game kind of game ender sort of card. So big old stack of removal and a bunch of kind of mediocre filler creatures. I'd say the best creature that we have has been the Burning Fist Minotaur. The threat of activation on this is just so huge that it rarely gets blocked. Because if you block it even with multiple creatures, your opponent can always just discard 1 land card to first strike away your blockers. So Burning Fist Minotaur has been great on turn 2 anytime we can do that. So 5-0 so far, doing pretty well with Zakdos. How's it going, Dave? We are 5-0 in our first Amonkhet draft of the night. I will be doing one more draft after this, but then I got to get to work on my overnight shift. Let's see. Yeah, this is a definite keeper. We have our best 2-drop. We get to curve out with Burning Fist Minotaur to get the early game damage in. We have a desert to have on the board by the time we cast our Gilded Ceradon. So we get to use this to shut off blockers. We're not curving out well. We just have a 2-drop and a 5-drop. I just work retail overnight. I'm an overnight stalker. Pretty basic stuff. Basically the equivalent of like just working at an Amazon overnight, but the retail version. So I unload trucks and get all the stuff on the shelves, and sometimes I fulfill online orders. So turn 2 Burning Fist Minotaur, we're playing against a white deck, white and blue here. This is just the common desert, so we don't need to worry about it. The uncommon deserts all have sacrifice effects, so it is important to check out your opponent's lands when they play non-basics, because sometimes they have fancy abilities on them. They play a 2-3 that can embalm. That's actually kind of a bad deal for us now. It's actually great for the mana cost. That makes a discard a card attack with Burning Fist Minotaur a lot less good, because now we have to discard a land to get rid of that Guardian, and then we'll just have to do it again later when they replay it. So do I even want to attack in here? I feel like I do. But I also want all 5 of these lands. I guess I'm just going to pass turn here. The fact that this just comes back on 4 mana is pretty rough. So as I was saying, there's one of the fancy non-basics here, Hashep Oasis. This one's a green source. They can pay double green and sack a desert to give something +3/+3 till end of turn as a sorcery. But they need double green on top of the Oasis, so they're pretty far from doing that. They don't have a single extra green mana to use on that. Steward of Solidarity is a really good card. 2/2. Where do you hail from? I am in the Midwest. I am in Kansas. Right in America's belly button. Alright, well, we're 1 mana away from the Horrors now, and we draw a Kenra Eternal. Steward of Solidarity is going to do quite a bit of work here, spitting out some 1/1s, because we're not in a good aggressive position against the 2/3. So they're on 4 color. They're on white, blue. Oh wait, no, they're on 3 color. It's just the plains isn't with their other white source because they're technically different names. That was always a little bit confusing. Like my Desert of the Glorified's over here on the other side from my swamps. Alright, they're 3 color, white, blue, and green. Steward of Solidarity is going to spit out 1/1s here. They got 5 cards left in hand. Naga Vitalist is the play. US, you don't sound like American? We've got a lot of different accents in the US. It's a pretty wide area. Go to my turn here. Sure. Ooh, Trial of Zeal. I do love me a Trial of Zeal.
I am proud to fight by your side.
Well, thank you very much for the gift sub, no one. I guess that one, the alert did go through on that one. So we got a 5 mana 4/4. Or do we just blow up one of their cards here? I kind of like blowing up that Steward. I don't like the fact that they just get to sit here getting a bunch of 1/1s. I also don't love them getting another mana here. They get to play like 5 drops now. But I guess we get to play a bunch of 5 drops, so it's not terrible. Maybe we're supposed to just play Gilded Ceradon so we can start attacking in. I mean, they're going to get a 1/1 whether we play Trial of Zeal this turn or next turn, so I think I'll play Gilded Ceradon and we'll Trial of Zeal next turn. Because they have to exert it every time they want to make a 1/1, so it'll remain tapped if they make a 1/1 right now. So by the time our turn comes back around, it'll still be tapped and not making any. I definitely want to blow up the human, but they make just as many 1/1s blowing it up now or blowing it up next turn, and this way we actually get in for damage next turn while blowing it up. Well, thank you very much, no one. Thanks for all the gift subs. That is very kind of you. Trial of Knowledge from our opponent. Yeah, if the Steward didn't have to exert to do it, I think I would have just blown it up immediately. But I'll be blowing it up this turn then. Gifts all around.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryvoke. Oh no, the text-to-speech lady's here. I completely forgot that I have text-to-speech on. Does weird me out a little bit. Alright, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4 power out, but we get to shut off one blocker here, so we get to attack with everybody. Right? Because we have the 2 mana to discard this land, so Burning Fist Minotaur gets in. I guess we don't attack with Kenra Eternal, because they can double block with a 1-2 and 1-1 to kill it. But, I mean, they're on 5 mana here, and they just cast a Trial, so they probably have some big stuff, so a 1-for-1 trade, Kenra Eternal into Naga Vitalist probably isn't that bad. Yeah, and we have 4/4s coming up. Let's just attack all here. We get to clear the board a little bit if we do trade with a Naga Vitalist. And a 1-for-1 trade of a mountain into a Naga Vitalist also isn't that bad.
We are unstoppable.
Thank you for the follow, Dave. I say a 1-for-1 trade because I don't really count a token as a full card. It would be trading the mountain in my hand for the Vitalist and the 1-1 if they double block the Minotaur. So somewhat of a 2-for-1 if they choose to do that block. They choose to do no blocks. Do I just discard a land for damage? I don't think I do. I like keeping the land for later.
I am proud to fight by your side.
Jesus, thank you, no one, for all the gift subs today. That is an immense amount of support. I think this is more subs than I've ever gotten in one day before. That is absolutely absurd. Thank you very much, no one. And thank you for the follow, Dave, the bits, Spryvoke. Lots of support here in this draft. But yeah, as I was saying, the Burning Fist Minotaur, I like just holding on to this land. Rather than just using it to get 2 damage, I'd like to keep the land so that I make any double blocks or triple blocks worse for them later. So I can just hold on to this for any time that I need to discard the land to save the Minotaur. So they do have their second green source for Oasis, so they need 1 more green source to start using it, because they can't tap it for a green towards its double green. That being said, they're not really in a position to use it, and I don't think they will be for quite a while, because they're definitely on the defensive here. So we don't have to be super worried about that effect. Thank you for the 14 bits, Dave. Cartouche of Strength on the 1-2. That'll kill our Burning Fist Minotaur here. That'll kill the Kenra Eternal. Yeah, no, they kill the Kenra Eternal here, because if they target Burning Fist Minotaur, I can discard a card to make it a 4-1, and then they'll have to choose if they want that fight to happen or not. Alright, so Kenra Eternal, yeah, definitely dies. They get Trial of Knowledge back in hand, so our opponent's going to be in the card advantage seat here. Just going to draw a million cards. They could recast it if they tap the Vitalist for the 4th mana. Alright, they do not want to cast... They don't want to recast the Trial of Knowledge. Now we have a Lethal Sting. I don't like making any of our current creatures on board smaller. Lethal Sting's not great with what we have right now. We'd ideally draw into like a Doom Dissenter or something before we use that. So Burning Fist Minotaur now can be a 4-1 first strike if we just discard a land, which means shutting off 1 blocker with Gilded Ceradon. We do get in well here. Shut off the Guardian again because that can come back from the grave if it dies. The Vitalist can't come back from the grave, so if they're going to block with one of their 2/3s, we'd rather them block with that one. Looks like just a chump block this turn. You're drafting? Good luck in the draft, Dave. I wish you the best. Hopefully a 7-win run there. Farm. Destroy an attacking or blocking creature. Well, not much we can do about that. Ceradon will die. That makes our attacks a lot worse now because we don't get to shut off an attacker every turn. But we do get to play our 4/4 Horror of the Broken Lands now. So if nothing else here, Horror of the Broken Lands is another creature that can attack in. with a threat of activation kind of effect, where we can turn it into a 6/5 on the attack if we cycle our other horror. So even if we don't get to shut off a blocker here, a 6/5 attacks in pretty well. Drafting, cycling, and discarding. You drafting the full blue-black cycling deck, or a different color pair there? The blue-black cycling can definitely be a lot of fun if you pick up the right support for it. Yeah, cards like the Vizier, Drakehaven being the rare one that's absolutely absurd if you pick up enough cycling. Ominous Sphinx is actually another pretty sweet one for a cycling deck, because this card's great even if you don't cycle a card all game. Just a 4/4 flyer. Uh-oh. Is this another, no, another Cartouche of Strength. Alright, well, we're actually in a big deal of pain now. Another land here. We can attack with Burning Fist Minotaur. We have 2 cards to discard now, so we can hit them for 6, or we can first strike away anything they block with. I guess if they block with all of their creatures, we can kill the Ominous Sphinx and the 1/1. If they block with the Ominous Sphinx and a 2/3, we just first strike away the Ominous Sphinx and cleared out by everything else. Lethal Sting could be good here, but we have to sacrifice Minotaur to do it, so it just doesn't work right now because we don't have a creature to throw that -1/-1 counter onto. I'm guessing we just play Horror of the Broken Lands and we try to Lethal Sting with that later. I feel like if we attack with Burning Fist Minotaur, at this point they might actually double block Sphinx in a 1/1. We have to discard 2 cards to kill the Sphinx. And they're down to a 2/3 and a 1/1, but they Trial of Knowledge to draw a bunch of cards. You know, that's probably worth it. Because they're tapped out now, so if we do this at like any other time, we're just not getting the attack in. Because if they're not tapped out, there's all kinds of stuff they can have if they have an Ominous Sphinx on board with their cycling triggers. And if they don't go for a block here, if they just go for a chump block, then I guess we just play Horror of the Broken Lands. Oh, that's rough, no one. Hopefully you get to draft again soon. I'm very happy to see the chump block here. You have the Vizier and the Sphinx first. What do you got? Very nice, Dave. Alright, well, if they just chump block, that makes it super wonderful for me. I'm happy with the chump block because that means that we just get to do both plays. We get to do the play where we chip away at their board a little bit, and we get to set up for the Lethal Sting next turn. And there's the Trial of Knowledge being recast from our opponent. I'm definitely not like a fan of our position here, but I think we still have ways to try to win this game. We have to draw pretty well from this point on. We have to hit like a Cartouche to recast Trial of Zeal, something like that. But we've got a shot still. It's not completely over, but I would say our opponent is quickly on the road to stabilizing here with just the amount of card advantage they've gotten after casting a Trial of Knowledge 3 times, casting it, and then casting 2 Cartouches afterwards. Our opponent has drawn 9 extra cards this game off this trial. Looking way more forward to Kaladesh. The format is so good. Oh yeah, I'm very excited for Kaladesh. I do like artifact and combo-y kind of stuff, and the energy mechanic's really fun and limited as well. Kaladesh has definitely some sweet stuff. Switching app now to play now. Alright, have fun in the drafts, Dave. So now we have a Zealot and a Lethal Sting. Zealot can clear out this game even if we don't get to attack in well. If I Lethal Sting here, I can Lethal Sting while holding up 1 discard to the Burning Fist Minotaur. Burning Fist Minotaur would attack as a 4/1 first striker. If they want to kill it, they block with both 2/3s and I only kill one of them. If we Lethal Sting, we don't have a good attack here. Jeez, no one, another gift sub. Thank you very much. A gift sub to Tiger Claws 5150. I kind of just want to play the Zealot here, because we don't have good attacks even if we clear out the Ominous Sphinx, and by playing the Zealot, we get to start doing 2 damage to them a turn. So they're on a 5-turn clock from just Zealot's ability alone. And At this point, we're not really doing much discarding to the Burning Fist Minotaurs. I think we have to start playing lands. I think we have to start playing lands so that if I draw like another 4-drop like I just did there, I could actually play that and Lethal Sting in one turn, because that could have definitely been the play if I had all my lands on the board. Potentially playing Zealot and Lethal Sting. Okay, so market to draw 2, discard 2. So our opponent's drawn 9 cards off Trial of Knowledge. They're drawing 2 more off market. They have discarded 3 cards to Trial of Knowledge and 2 cards to market, but they are just grinding through their deck. 16 cards left. We have 25. Our opponent is living in the dream world of card advantage here. So I'm sure we will see all of their strongest cards in the deck as they draw into them. If they don't have a lot of removal, we do still have a chance here because of Zealot's ability to chip away at them even without getting through their field. And honestly, this Lethal Sting does a lot of work here. If they don't play another creature, just clearing out Ominous Sphinx makes their board pretty small. Ooh. Oh yeah, Dauntless Haven just untaps the Sphinx. Never mind. I was going to say, ooh, this attack might let us find a way to get lethal next turn, but Dauntless Haven just untaps the 5/5 anyway, so probably not. This is just 1 creature tapped on their field, not 2. Oketra's Attendant. Ooh, and that card embalms. So a 3/3 flyer that comes back again later. It's definitely rough. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're facing 10 damage in the sky as well. Lethal Sting is a sorcery, unfortunately. So for 6 mana, I could play Bone Slasher and Lethal Sting and kill the Ominous Sphinx. If I kill the Ominous Sphinx, they have 2 2/3s and a 3/3. I don't have good attacks if I do that, but then I lower them down to 5 damage in the sky every turn. I feel like I really just need to hit like another cartouche. I gotta get really lucky here. I guess I haven't hit a cartouche all game, so I do have 2 cartouches in the deck. The cartouches would be wonderful. We kill the Sphinx, pick up Trial of Zeal, kill the Attendant. That's kind of our big out here. If I just sit here damaging them with Zealot, I'm not changing the board state at all, so I just die in 2 turns that way to the Flyers, so I can't really afford to do that. Yeah, I think I'm on the Lethal Sting play here. And I suppose, you know, I could Lethal Sting to kill the Sphinx, put the counter on the Zealot instead of the Bone Slasher. That way, I could attack in with Horror of the Broken Lands, because with Burning Fist Minotaur's ability, I can discard a card and make the Horror a 6/5. At a 6/5, I can kill 2 of their blockers, even if they double block. Yeah, that's somewhat of a thing. It's not like it's really blocking here. And Marauding Bone Slasher is obviously not blocking. It can't block because I don't have a zombie out. I guess here I am opening myself up to being attacked by their ground creatures, but if they attack me with their ground creatures, then I attack back for lethal with my ground creatures. So they're still in a position where I think they just attack with the 2 flyers. This way gives me the potential to find lethal. Plus, if I get to kill the flyer here, I'm only taking 2 damage next turn, which is wonderful. If they block all 3, we'll kill the Vitalist and the Attendant. If they block just 2, then I guess I have to just kill both the Embalmers. Alright, we're trading here. The heavy combos there. Those 2 cards function pretty well together. Alright, well, we're only taking 2 damage in the sky this turn now. I doubt Vitalist is attacking in. Well, I guess they will have some untapped blockers. They could attack in with the Vitalist, so we might take 4 here and go to 8. If they attack with the Vitalist, we could also trade with our Zealot if we want to, but I do think its ability is important, even if ideally we're just putting more stuff on the board most of the time. So they play the Oketra's Attendant. They can embalm the Labyrinth Guardian as well if they tap the Naga Vitalist or if they play a land for the turn. Are you going to do any call time quickies? Probably not. I feel like I called timed myself out the first time I was around. And I'm very pumped for these remastered formats. I'm probably just going to be doing the remasters. Oh, they have a Trial of Strength as well. If they draw another cartouche, I'm absolutely slammed here. Ooh, a Fan Bearer as well. Ramonap Ruins is a card. That'll be 4 damage total over the course of several turns, of course, but it's something. This board is way too wide now. 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 mana, so we can play a 3-drop, and then we don't have the mana to use Zealot, but we would have the mana to use Ruins, maybe? I guess Ruins technically cost 5, because we have to tap the Ruins itself as well. So I can't play this Bone Slasher and do some damage to them. We don't have a tax in anymore. I think they've made it here. I think they just stabilize now. I mean, they don't kill us next turn. Bone Slasher just changes nothing, because it can't block. Bone Slasher changes nothing here, because it can't block, and it definitely can't attack in against all that stuff, so I think we just hold on to Bone Slasher. We'd rather just get a couple damage in on them. But I'm pretty sure... I mean, we're dead in 2 turns, maybe even 1 turn right here. Pretty sure they've made it at this point. This was definitely a really intense game and a really close one as well. Because we've had some active draws in our deck that would have been pretty insane in this position. Mainly just the 2 cartouches. If we were Lucksack McGee here, slamming down a cartouche at any point in the last few turns would have been exceptional. So we take 5 in the sky, we're dead next turn. Another Trial of Strength. Don't cartouche me, please. Oh, imagine how insane a cartouche from them would be now. Pick up 3 trials back to hand. Alright, they're passing turn. Let's get that damage in.
I am proud to fight by your side.
Thank you for the gift sub, Nolan. The gift sub to the Mana Shark. Hey, Mana Shark. I had to make it an even 5. Well, thank you very much for the 5 subs, no one. If near Deadlands. Ooh, that would have been sweet earlier, but I don't think it's enough now. I guess we cannot die in the sky, but they have so many 4/2s on the ground now, I think we still die. If near Deadlands is -2/-2 at sorcery speed. Get rid of the Dauntless Haven. We do get rid of 1 flyer. Yeah, it's just not enough. We can only kill 1 thing here. Bone Slasher doesn't block. 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 mana total if I play the Deadlands. We can't, like, double shoot them with Zealots. Fanbearer can tap a creature before their turn starts. Yeah, we're mega dead. Guess I will kill one of their flyers, I suppose. Just a thing we can do. But it is going to be 5-1 here. Opponent did just stabilize against the aggressive start with a ton of value from triple Trial of Knowledge. Very impressive lineup from our opponent this game. The Embalm cards as well have been pretty good. Oh, they've got a Sunset Pyramid as well. Our opponent is incredible at drawing cards. Very sweet deck here. I would love to draw a ton of cards like that as well. Sunset Pyramid's a super sweet card. I really like this card in Draft. Just a colorless card that gives you a repeatable draw engine. Super great in pretty much any deck as well. Very similar to the Edifice of Authority. Oh, they have... Oh yeah, they have the +3/+3 desert, so they can just still kill us with flying. Didn't even need to go wide there at the end. Alright, well, 5-1 now. But whatever happens here, I'm pretty happy with the record on this first draft. Because we are more than making our money back. We're getting 1,600 gems out of this. 1,500 to play. I suppose I am using draft tokens, so it's kind of different, but... But you all know the general cost of the drafts. Can't win them all for sure. And 5-1 is nothing to scoff at so far. I wonder if we'll ever draw our Bontu. I don't even think that it's like we're gonna be in a good position if we draw Bontu, because I don't think we have enough to synergize with Bontu that Bontu is gonna be a particularly good card. But I do want to play Bontu at least one time. You're happy if you get 3 wins, honestly? That is fair. That is fair. 3-3 is perfectly average. Not super happy, but like you're like, yeah, that's fine. Bontu's in this deck, you sure? Haven't seen him. No! Don't do this to me, Arena, no! The run it back. We're against Crazy Warlord again? We're gonna play against Triple Trial of Knowledge again? Oh dear. Oh dear. Alright, well we're playing against a blue-white-green deck here with Trial of Knowledge and 2 Trial of Strength. Multiple Cartouche of Strength to replay the Trial of Knowledge. Some Embalm creatures like Labyrinth Guardian and Oketra's Attendant. Don't ask me how I know all this. I can just open my mind's eye and see into the future here. So I'm going to keep this hand because I have Horror of the Broken Lands to cycle. It is a 1-color hand, but we can cycle the Horror, we can cycle the Desert of the Glorified. We have a lot of ways to cycle through cards and dig towards a red source. Alright, there's the blue. At least he didn't see all my good stuff. That's true, he saw my trial, but he didn't see any of my cartouches. I'm just gonna play Doom Dissenter here. There's the Hashep Oasis. What do we have here? Trial of Zeal. So I do really want a red source. I think I cycle Horror. If I hit an untapped land, I'll cycle Desert as well. Well, if I hit the red source immediately, do I cycle Desert? I don't think so. Maybe. We can decide in their end step, I guess. Because I do want another red source for Puncturing Blow, and we have the triple mana we need for all of these cards. So we don't really need a third black source right now. We really just need a second red. That's true, no one has seen Bontu. Bontu might secretly not be in the deck at all. Who knows? Ooh, let's trial their trial just for meme's sake. Trial of Strength versus Trial of Zeal. The trial fight has begun. There's the second red. I like that. I guess we could Lethal Sting. Make this a 2/2 and kill that, but it's probably better to save that for a bigger creature. Let's trial the trial. Aha. Our trials are evenly matched. As should be. Until they play the blue trial. That one absolutely slaps. Alright, well we have a boatload of removal here. This whole hand is essentially removal. Which is kind of cool, but that's actually not that good against their deck because they have a lot of late game value, late game draw. Wow. Yeah, I'm probably just going to get absolutely wrecked by a Cartouche of Strength. I think I hold up Splendid Agony here. And I try to just, like, absolutely get them if they attempt to Cartouche of Strength here. Because we can just counter a Cartouche of Strength if we -2/-2, they're 4/2. I don't think they'd even want to use it on my 1/1, but I think it's better than just spending removal on a 4/2 right now. We can just turn Doom Dissenter into a 2/2 and then it can block their 4/2 all day long. You trophied with a deck the other day that had Showdown of the Scalds in it. You didn't draw it once. Sad. It's probably a sweet deck though. Just red-white can be a great aggressive color in that format. They're not going to Cartouche. They're not going to Cartouche. Bitterbow Sharpshooters it is. Well, there goes my plan. But I do have 6 mana, so now I can just kill the Sharpshooters and hold up Splendid Agony. I guess I have to Lethal Sting to do that now that my 1/1 is bad. Or now that my 1/1 is dead, Lethal Sting is not great. So I have to Puncturing Blow to kill Sharpshooters, and then I'm not holding up Splendid Agony, which means if I Puncturing Blow Sharpshooters and they just Cartouche of Strength, I'm so out of this because they just draw a couple 4/2s to their hand. I really think I have to do literally everything in my power to play around their Cartouche of Strength because we know they have at least 2 of them. And if they cast a single Cartouche this game, I don't think there's any coming back. Because draw 2 guaranteed 4/2s is just such a huge swing. Oh, it was red-black and you were splashing Showdown. Nice. This is going to look so incredibly suspicious, but I'm going to cast an Edifice here and then just not use it. So that I can hold the Splendid Agony mana up. But I guess they can... Oh, no. They can just Cartouche on the Sharpshooters anyway. So there's really nothing we can do to stop Cartouche then. Because if we went for the Puncturing Blow or the Lethal Sting to kill the Sharpshooters here, then they just don't Cartouche. And if we don't kill the Sharpshooters, then they can just Cartouche onto the Sharpshooters. Okay, so they don't have the Cartouche, which is good. Again, I wasn't using the Edifice there so that I could Splendid Agony on the 4/2 if I need. But I guess I should have used the Edifice because I can't stop them from throwing Cartouche onto the 4/4. So maybe they would throw it onto the 4/4 instead of the 4/2. This is really bad. Their deck is super sick. Okay, so now what are we doing? We're shutting off the flyer every turn. That costs us 1 mana every turn. Do I just Agony the 4/2 right now? Because at this point it's like, if they have a Cartouche of Strength, they're not putting it on a 4/2 when they can put it on a flyer or a reach creature. So I think I just kill the 4/2 permanently. There's another reason not to use the Edifice. That way we have the mana up to actually fully kill something that turn instead of just prevent an attack. Now we kill the Sphinx and keep holding back the Sharpshooters. Would I rather Lethal Sting? I kind of think I'd rather Lethal Sting here because a 2/2 versus a 1/1 is not a big difference. And we haven't seen anything in their deck that was bigger than 4 toughness. So Puncturing Blow should be able to kill anything even if we don't have any creatures on board. Yeah, so I think we Lethal Sting here. Now we're holding just a Puncturing Blow here. Playing all my lands out in case I draw like a Cartouche, because then I could be playing multiple spells per turn, which could cost a lot of mana. It would cost 7 mana total to cast a Cartouche, recast Trial of Zeal, and use Edifice, so I want 7 mana out at least here. If I do draw a Cartouche. Although Cartouche isn't even that great here. There's nothing really to weaken on their board. Alright, and now we have the mana to just start shutting off the attack every turn. There's the Vitalist. Doesn't really affect the game much here. Dauntless Haven. We haven't seen their Scarab God yet, true. Hey, it's Bonsu. If they do Scarab God me, that would be really rough. I don't think I really want to Puncturing Blow the Flyer right now, because we could take a couple damage for a little bit. I guess I could also just shut off the flyer from attacking, and I can block the Bitterbow Sharpshooters with a Bonsu if I sacrifice the 1/1. Bonsu doesn't have reach, right? Yeah, Bonsu doesn't have reach. So we can't stop the flyer with Bonsu. Now that they've played their 2/1 flyer, our black Cartouche is an exceptionally good draw if we hit it. Unquenchable Thirst. Well, so Bonsu's permanently tapped then. Yeah. Okay, so Bonsu does not block. Okay. That's about to be expected. We got the God, but they had the removal. We do still get to use Bonsu to scry and drain life every now and then. Like if I chump block a 4/4 and then I can sacrifice whatever I chump blocked with, stuff like that. For now though, it's probably better to just stop more damage by shutting off the 4/4. Take 3. Yeah, that was a great draft, no one. Well, because we'd already lost to a Scarab God earlier in that draft, and then I'm playing against the opponent that's like 3 colors already, and then they drop a Swamp down. I'm like, this is a Swamp or an island I don't remember. I'm like, well, this is just Scarab God. There's no way it's anything else. And there it was. That was fair enough, though. I'd already very much lost that game, because they still had, they had all the pressure and all the stuff going for them. But it was just the funny icing on the cake. Pretty sure I just lose to this deck again. I think this deck's just not a good matchup for me. Their cards are generally bigger than mine, and they have more card advantage in the late game, to where if we make it to the late game, they're always going to win. Because they have multiple draw spells and multiple cartouches for their multiple trials. So the fact that I didn't even get an aggressive start this game, I'm pretty sure this one's in the bag. Yeah, the Scarab God is a rough one for sure. I could threaten to discard a card to Burning Fist Minotaur their sharpshooters here. Yeah, sure. I'll shut off the Dauntless Haven because they might not attack with sharpshooters, because if I just have a land in hand, then Minotaur eats their sharpshooters. So I could see our Burning Fist Minotaur just holding off their attacks here. And if it doesn't, we can just chump block and sack to Bonsu. Well, that's a bold attack. Our opponent either has a combat trick here, or they're okay with trading their 4/4 for a basic land. On the off chance that I have one. Unfortunately, I do have to confirm to them that I don't have one, because I can't just get rid of my 1 removal spell to trade there. I was hoping Burning Fist Minotaur would just deal with everything that's currently on board, and I could hold Puncturing Blow for later, but I might have to just puncture the sharpshooters. Get that mountain out of here. Let's draw a Cartouche. Fingers crossed. Come on. Not a cartouche, but it's not the end of the world because now we can actually just trade our mountain for, or trade our swamp for sharpshooters. In which case, I think I, yet again, do not cast Puncturing Blow because I can deal with sharpshooters on blocks with a first strike. I can deal with Dauntless Haven before it can attack with our Edifice. So, on board, we're just staring each other down here. A top-decked cartouche for our opponent at any turn is basically a win. A top-decked cartouche for us at any point is really good, but it doesn't put us in a winning position. It just clears out the Dauntless Haven and one of the Vitalists, I guess. It is super helpful, and it gives our first striker lifelink, so then we could just keep bashing him with the first striker. Actually, no, I think a cartouche off the top for us does put us in a winning position as well, but it doesn't like immediately win the game like a cartouche from them would. Yep. So they get both trials back to their hand, which means they're going to cast 2 more 4/2s. We can discard 2 cards to the Burning Fist Minotaur to beat the Bitterbow Sharpshooters here, or to trade with the Bitterbow Sharpshooters here, but we could also just end up discarding those 2 cards, and because of the way Cartouche's Strength works, they can just choose not to fight it after we buff it. That's one of the really powerful things about Cartouche. I think we just sacrifice the Minotaur, to be honest, because it's going to die here no matter what. Even if we discard 2 cards to it, they can then just choose not to fight, and then we've lost our Puncturing Blow that we can use to kill Sharpshooters. So I think we sacrifice Minotaur, and then we Edifice the 5/5. There's our cartouche. We're going to take it. We can throw it on a Bonsu just to pick Trial of Zeal back up and kill their Dauntless Haven. Which, I mean, we can basically deal with everything that's currently on their board, but we can't deal with 2 more 4/2s now. The Trial Cartouche synergy too strong. And now we have 4 brick counters on the Edifice, because I didn't really need to shut off its blocking. Alright, well, here's our cartouche. See how you like these apples. Aha, deal with pretty much everything but your 4/2s. But we are going to die to the 4/2s. I guess I play land for turn here. We don't have our discard card anymore, so we might as well Edifice the 4/2s and just take 2 damage a turn for now. I guess we Edifice the 4/2 and then we kill the next 4/2. So we still have a really minor chance of getting out of this one. That would require their next 3 cards to all be basically just basic lands. And then our next few cards to all be gas. It can happen. It's pretty rare, but it could happen. Evolving Wilds. I guess we can check out what we have left. Ceradon, Minotaur, Gravedigger would be really good. Struggle would be alright. Cartouche would be alright. If Near Deadlands would be good. We've got some decent draws. Desert Ceradon would be pretty great. Horror of the Broken Lands. Yeah, we have decent draws. I guess I have been really pessimistic throughout this game. There's technically always a chance that we get out of this. Just think if I was a betting man, the odds are not great. Opponent cycles a land, so little flooded. Bantu can't sacrifice themselves, can they? No, sacrifice another creature. Well, there's struggle. That'll kill one of their cards. It does 9 damage right now because we have 9 lands out. It's pretty good. Instant speed removal there. Do we just pop it on a 4-2 immediately? Pop it on a 4-2 and keep preventing Vitalists from attacking? Like, remembering what's in their deck, I feel like we're supposed to just pop it on the 4-2 immediately because most of their other creatures that are good at this point, like Embalm, like a 3-3 flyer that comes back from the grave, a 2-3 flying vigilance that comes back from the grave. We don't want to use this on something that'll come back from the grave. The 4-2 won't come back. So this way we just take 1 damage a turn. It gives us a little more time. They're stuck on mana. They need another white mana to get their 3-3 flying that embalms out. So it's possible they even have it in hand. They're just holding on to it. Actually, no, they don't need another. They have Naga Vitalists. Those will add white mana if they need it. Forgot about that. I don't know what they could possibly be holding in hand here. If they're not casting stuff, maybe it's just a bunch of removal. Cartouche of Strength. Pick up the trials here. Seems pretty good. A couple more 4-2s. Yeah, we don't have a Wrath effect. I'm going to scoop them up at this point. Could be. Just sandbagging a boatload of lands. Alright, 5 and 2. Unfortunately, both of our losses were to the exact same player with the exact same deck. It's one of those things that I wish wouldn't happen on Arena. It's always rough when you get paired up against the exact same person. So it's like, no, we've already seen how this matchup will go. I'm not in it for the rematch. See if we can run it back for the third. That would be really sad if we play against the same player again and just get the triple beat down, absolutely slammed by all the trials. If I wanted rematches, I'd play traditional draft. True. All right, new player. New player. New player, we got double Burning Fist Minotaur. Let's go. Super great start here. Just excellent, as I've said many times in this draft, excellent threat of activation ability. Where just the fear of me discarding a land will let this keep chipping in. It's also just good when you actually do discard a land to it. Alright, we're playing against blue here. There's the Burning Fist Minotaur. And a Striped Riverwinder getting cycled. Alright, no blockers out yet, so we just chip in. Slam in for 2. Do it again here. 2 of them next turn. We do have a desert out for our Gilded Ceradon on turn 5 now, which is pretty sweet. shutting off blockers. Oh yeah, if they're on a slow start, we're living the dream here. Slam in for 4. Impeccable timing to kill one of them. Resolves. Hit for 2. And drop a Kenra Eternal now. 2/2, that'll do 1 damage to them even if it's blocked. Aven Initiate, a 3/2 flying Embalm. It embalms for 7 mana, so I think we just take the trade if they want to block. If they want to block our Kenra Eternal, we just take the trade there.
I am proud to fight by your side.
No one with the 2 gifted subs to LP Brandon 31 and G-Ball 2010191. Thank you very much for all the gifted subs, no one. Alright, they don't want to take the trade. They understand that it will be a century before they can embalm that Aven Initiate. But I'm feeling really good now. They're down to 12 life, and we have an attacker that can shut off one of their blockers each turn. We also have Ramonap Ruins we can sacrifice to deal some damage to them if we hit another red source. Seems like a great aggressive start this game. They even attack in with Aven Initiate. Could be a Wrath effect here. Not yet. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We hit for 12 if we discard 2 cards to Burning Fist Minotaur. Is that worth the risk of getting absolutely blown out here? Possibly. Probably not. Probably not, because we kind of have the game on lock. Okay, thank goodness. If they waited on that farm and then I did discard 2 cards to Minotaur and then they used it, that would have been so brutal for me. Alright, so we just hit for 4 then. Don't discard anything because all these cards are good. Unfortunately now they're actually still at a relatively decent life total then. Just play Bone Slasher here. The biggest attacker we can get on this board. Essence Scatter? It is an Essence Scatter. Alright. Well, they're down to 2 cards in hand, and our creatures attack in well against their current board state. We also have Cartouche of Ambition to make our creatures even better if they play a good blocker. Temet's not quite a good blocker, but Temet does come back from the grave, another Embalm card. A 2/2 makes one of their creatures unblockable each turn, so it mainly works on the aggressive. But yeah, I mean, a 2/2 will probably use Cartouche of Ambition to make it a 1/1. Well, Cartouche of Solidarity from our opponent is pretty rough, because now they have a 3/3 first strike and a 1/1. I could turn it into a 2/2 first strike, but even that can block Burning Fist Minotaur well, even if I Cartouche the Minotaur, so we just Cartouche the Eternal and make Temet weaker, I guess. There's the mana we need for Desert Ceradon, but is the Desert Ceradon even good right now? It is 4 toughness, so it does attack in well. I think I would rather be able to just attack in right now. I guess next turn they're just drawing a card off the top and then they're casting like Market here. Probably just cast Desert Ceradon down and then next turn go for the Cartouche of Ambition to weaken Temet to get an attack in. Yeah, let's get the more impressive board that can attack in really well after a Cartouche. Alright, there's the Market, so they draw 2, discard 2. They have the best card out of their top 3 in hand. 2 of them are lands, so the other card may be a land, but it may be better. We'll see. Alright. Horror of the Broken Lands is actually pretty sweet here. It's just another big attacker. They have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 toughness here. So even if I Cartouche of Ambition, we have 5 toughness, and they'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 power, so they can just do like the double block or the triple block to kill the Ceradon. I could just Cartouche to kill their 1/1, and then their only really good blocker is Temet because it has first strike. So if I do this, The only way they kill Desert Ceradon is if they block with Temet and Aven Initiate. And if they do that... If they do that, they have to spend all their mana next turn just bringing one of them back. So I think I attack all three here because they have to block Desert Ceradon or they're dead. If they just block there, they take 1 Afflict damage, go to 7 life. Desert Ceradon finishes them off. So we attack everybody here. They're forced into blocking Desert Ceradon without at least 1. They probably block it with 2. The only creature that they can block with Temet without trading is Kenra Eternal, and if they block Kenra Eternal, they get afflicted for 1 at least, so it does put in some pressure there. Alright, so the trade with Initiate and Temet just dies. We hit for 2 with Burning Fist Minotaur. Impeccable timing. Oof. That's actually brutal. Impeccable timing to win through the first strike. Alright, well... We do still clear their board. They have 6 mana up, so if they top deck a land, they can recast Aven Initiate, but otherwise... Otherwise, they just have a Temet now. You kind of have to just hold it back here. Because it doesn't have Vigilance. So if it attacks in, we attack in for potential lethal. Disposal Mummy gets rid of one of the cards in our graveyard. It's fine. They're at 5 life. We have Ramonap Ruins. We can spend 4, sacrifice the ruins to deal 2 to them, so we only need to hit them for 3 more damage now. It's going to be a close one, because if they hit that next land, they have great Embalm value to keep getting enough blockers to shut us off here. But if we hit any aggressive cards, we can easily chip in for that last 3 damage that we need. Like a Trial of Zeal just does it on the spot. But any removal of which we have a lot is also excellent. If Near Dead lands being one of those. However, not actually that great here, because we turn Temet into a 1/1 First Striker, but a 1/1 First Striker still trades for Burning Fist Minotaur. I mean, we can turn Disposal Mummy into a 0/1, but then they still just block Burning Fist Minotaur with Temet. So if Near Deadlands might be just used to give us more damage with Ramonap Ruins here. Just another 2 damage. I think I just play Horror of the Broken Lands here, because Horror will attack in well, whereas Burning Fist Minotaur will not. I'll probably be playing this if Near Deadlands next turn. I suppose I could just slam it down right now. But I guess now they might be a little scared of what it might be. Compulsory Rest. Opponent is drawing very hot off the top here. We're drawing pretty well too. If Near Deadlands is pretty sweet. They attack with Temet. Ooh. Ooh, no blocks. I love that attack. I'll take that all day long. So we attack with Burning Fist Minotaur and trade our Deadlands for it, because we'd trade our Deadlands for it either way. I guess now Zealot of the Godfair is an exceptional draw. We could just put this on the board and start dealing 2 damage to them every turn with that. Either one of these is fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 mana. We have enough mana to cast Zealot and discard a card to Minotaur. So I think we discard Deadlands to the Minotaur, and then we just cast Zealot. Now, even if they get the mana for Aven Initiate, we'll just start chipping away at them with Zealot's ability. So they basically need to have drawn another removal spell to be in a good position here, and they just draw a 3/1. The 3/1's fine, we let it do its thing, we just chip away at them with the Zealots. We do have Lethal Sting. Do we have lethal damage this turn then if we have Lethal Sting? We can throw the -1/-1 counter onto the Horror of the Broken Lands, kill Temet, they can only block 1 card, then we have 3 mana up afterwards. They block our Burning Fist Minotaur. I guess they block our Zealot, because we won't have another card to discard to Burning Fist. We don't actually have lethal here if we cast Lethal Sting. So I think we just pass turn, then do 2 damage to them during their end step. And then we should have lethal the turn after that. Cartouche of Knowledge to give Temet flying and draw a card. And +1/+1, that's pretty big. Attacks for 4 a turn, but we do have 2 life gain if we sacrifice what they've compulsory rested. And if they attack in, because we have Lethal Sting, we do have just immediate lethal on the crackback. So I don't think that they're getting that flying damage in. And sure enough, they pass the turn. We can hit them down to 2 life here. We have 3 mana to Lethal Sting. We'll have 4 mana up afterwards. We won't have 5. We need 5 mana up after Lethal Sting to be able to use Ramanap Ruins or Zealot's ability. I mean, if I kill Temet here, they only have a 3/1 to block with. And then that trades for Zealot. Burning Fist Minotaur gets in. If they have, like... If they have, like, another Impeccable Timing, this is possibly not lethal. But I mean, otherwise, just one of these hits them for 4. And they're not going to have any haste in white-blue, so yeah, I was going to say, even if they survive to the crackback, we can then just probably use Ramanap to get in lethal. Alright, so 6-2 now. That was a pretty close, pretty scary game there between the two. They were on like an Embalm value deck, so they were pretty close to just stabilizing there. Because they could bring back Temet next turn, so if they did have another Impeccable Timing, that would be a little scary. But, of course, Ramanap Ruins plus Zealot's ability, we had a lot of ways to just chip in that extra damage to their face, even if we can't attack in, which was really nice. So 6-2, we're heading into the final boss, win or lose. This will be the final round of Magic for this draft. Unfortunately, this draft has gone longer than I expected, so I don't think that I have time to fit another draft in tonight. I do have to be at work in, let's see, 2 hours and 16 minutes. That'd be cutting it really close, because this draft alone has taken 2 hours and 22 minutes. So if I run as hot as I did this draft, then I will be late to work, or I'll just have to stop mid-draft, which is always a bummer. So I think I'll have to end it after this draft for this this impromptu stream. Especially if the matchmaking is going to take a little while here. Can I do at least the draft portion? I suppose I can. Can run through another draft. Hey, Sal on the side, how's it going? I have been doing well. Just been doing a lot of the YouTube stuff, a lot of work. Haven't had much time to fit in live streams in between that. All right. Ooh, Trial of Zeal. Give me that Trial of Zeal. Give me some cartouches to bring it back, recast it. Thanks, Salad. It has been popping off, so thank you everybody who's been checking out the YouTube. And blessings be upon the YouTube algorithm. I have 4 lands guaranteed here, so I'm probably going to want to cycle this desert late game. Like, if I draw a single other land this game, I'm going to want to cycle this one. So we'll just not play it out here. Doom to Center. A little awkward to draw at turn 3, but we weren't playing anything else on an empty board, so we'll get it out there. It's not like I'm going to Trial of Zeal or nothing.
I am proud to fight by your side.
Thank you for the gifted sub to Salad on the side, no one. And welcome to the subs, Salad. Oasis Ritualist, a 2/4. Was that? That's like 8 gift subs to the channel. Thank you so much, no one. All right, so we're playing against green, blue, red ramp. With the Oasis Ritualist to give them 2 extra mana next turn. I wish I had a Lethal Sting here. Lethal Sting would be fantastic. But since I don't have it, I probably still just attack with the Doom Dissenter and see if I can Trial of Zeal the Ritualist. If not, whatever, I get 1 damage in. That's about what we can hope for here. We have to let Oasis Ritualist do its thing. Play a land past the turn, ready to cycle our desert or cast a Splendid Agony. Alright. They're not doing the Oasis Ritualist thing, so they don't have a big card in hand. I'm really happy to see that. The fact that Oasis Ritualist taps for 2 mana of any color means they could have cast any 7-drop in the whole format that turn, so I'm so happy they didn't have one. So here's a land. Probably just running out of Horror of the Broken Lands, but I'll attack first and just see what happens here. Nothing happens. Is this a counterspell off of the blue splash? Would be a little weird, but maybe the red is a splash or the green is a splash. Who knows? It's a struggle to kill the Horror of the Broken Lands. And cycling a Dissenter's Deliverance here. Main deckable artifact hate since it's cheap to cycle. I really like our hand if they play any more small creatures, but judging by their color pair and the fact that they have Ritualist, I don't expect any more small creatures. Yeah, this is probably about the worst matchup we could have for Trial of Zeal to do much. Because their stuff's just all going to be massive. I guess we can stack up 5 damage by casting Splendid Agony and Trial of Zeal. We'll 2-for-1 ourselves to do that, but then we don't have to worry about this giant 6/5 smacking us. And we can cast a Cartouche and bring back Trial later, so it's not quite a 2-for-1. I think it's worth it. A 6/5's a big deal. And I'm just going to keep attacking with Doom Dissenter, because I really like how well it combos with Lethal Sting if we draw into a Lethal Sting. A River Hoopoe. We'll kill that with a Trial of Zeal. Which means Cartouche of Ambition, Doom Dissenter, make Ritualist smaller, and then shoot the Hoopoe. So we can kill it before they draw any cards off of it. I guess I can just attack in first. That way I turn it into a 2/2 before I Cartouche it. Or just get a damage in. Alright, I guess I get a damage in, but... yeah, this isn't the most ideal creature to be a lifelinker, but... I think it's better to kill the Hoopoe while I can. Oof, Magma Sprayed. Well, that will counteract it. The Cartouche will no longer get on the battlefield. So the Trial will not bounce to hand. That's what I really wanted to do against the opponent that we lost to twice with their double Trials. I really wanted to kill whatever they tried to throw the Cartouche onto. Alright, well, I think we're going to get Hoopoed here. Because they're going to draw an extra card and gain 2 life every turn now. Well, slap for 3, get a 4/4 out. We're still smacking them, but we're certainly getting Hoopoed. It's going to be another game where our opponent has repeatable card draw. They're going to have way more cards than we do. We've seen how the last matchup that was of this sort went. It went a loss each time, so not feeling great here. But we've got the biggest creatures on the board here. We still have good attacks. Edifice can eventually start shutting off some blockers. If they play anything really big that could start attacking us, we can start shutting that off. With our Minotaurs in our deck, we'll hold on to a land to discard to them if we draw them. I forgot to use my Edifice to stop 1 damage there. I clicked too fast. We lost 1 point of damage. But I'll still use the edifice so we can get the brick counter on it, get it closer to 3 brick counters. But that was definitely a punt. So opponent's drawn 4 cards off the Hoopu already. Oh dear. Another removal spell. We have a Soul Stinger now. We could play this as a 4/5, or we can play it as a 2/3 that puts 2 -1/1 counters onto something when it dies. 2 -1/1 isn't really enough to nullify anything. I guess I could make Ritualist an O2, which is definitely a worse blocker. The thing I'm really worried about is the Hoopu. I think I'd rather just play Soul Stinger to attack in as a 4/5. So we'll kill our Doom Dissenter to get the Soul Stinger out. And now the Bone Slasher can block, and it doesn't attack into a 2/4 well. Oh, it certainly happens. I feel like it happens at least once per draft for me, that I just click through a crucial attack. It's like, whoop. Missed my opportunity. Our opponent's deck is sick. Lots of very efficient removal. It's just, their deck might just be a bunch of cheap removal to clear out any aggression, and then a River Hoopu. That's the deck plan. The River Hoopu makes it so you're still fueled, you're always drawing at least 2 cards a turn, so you're constantly hitting the next removal spell you need. I think we're getting handled by this adorable bird here. But always happy to get a 6-3. That is a really nice record, if that is how things end here. Oh, they're on 4 color. They've got the Swamp as well. Another powerful part of Oasis Ritualist. Just again, with the Exert ability to add 2 mana of any 1 color, you could splash in any big 7 mana bomb. So they could be playing a Bolas. They could have been like green-blue ramp, and then they picked up a bunch of red removal as well. And then they like picked up a Bolas, and they're like, all right, this is the greatest deck. Oh yeah, River Hoopu very much slaps. And this is a very well-built deck. Cheap removal and consistent card draw to just keep it going. Of course, the Ritualists to be able to do the whole 4 color stuff as well. If they want to draw a card, they have to do it right now, because we do shut off activated abilities with Edifice now. So they did miss on a card draw there if they wanted to do that. Obelisk Spider is a pretty great card in green-black stuff. It deals combat damage to a creature, put a -1/-1 counter on that creature. Oh, I guess it only shuts off activated abilities until the end step. Yeah, until my next turn, so Hoopu can just draw cards now. Well, Obelisk Spider is actually a really big problem. Like, now I have the removal where I could kill the Hoopu, but Obelisk Spider is also really annoying when it gets into combat. I guess the Obelisk Spider only matters when it gets into combat, so we still just kill the Hoopu and use our Edifice on the Spider then. And we just kind of sit here getting drained by the Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. I guess they don't have a desert yet. So they can't do the 1 damage to us over and over. Yeah, no desert. I'm pretty sure it's too late. Our opponent has a full grip here at this point. Not quite. That's 5 cards. But they've got a boatload of cards against our 3/3 and 2/2. 11 cards to 18. They have drawn 7 extra cards. Oh, and there's the desert. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs is now active to chip away at us for 1 damage a turn. We're on a 12-turn clock, but I assume we'll die before then, because they have 9 cards left in their deck. If it takes them 12 turns to kill us, they will mill themselves out. Actually, they won't. I forgot. Struggle to Survive. The survive half of this card can just shuffle their whole graveyard back into their library. So they can just start recasting all of the cheap removal and stuff. And they have 2 copies of this as well, so they're just never going to mill out. Yeah, no, that's actually super sweet. Struggle to survive. This is one of those times where survive is actually going to matter here because they're down to 8 cards in deck. But survive is absolutely huge. Making sure no matter how much they go off with a River Hoopu, they will never mill themselves. I guess they would after a very long time because they do have to exile the survive to cast it. But yeah. Oh boy, they're drawing 2 more cards with a Hieroglyphic Illumination now. It's a very sweet deck from our opponent. So I'm pretty sure that we're just going to get absolutely slapped by some kind of bomb that's chilling in their last few cards. Because if they're 4 colors, they get to take just the greatest bomb out of anything that gets passed to them, or anything they open up. So I expect like a Bolas or a Scarab God to explain the blue-black being in this deck. But it could just be for Hieroglyphic Illumination, Final Reward, that kind of stuff. But I feel like statistically, they got to have something super sweet if they can pick up anything in the draft pod. But I guess the thing is they don't even need a sick bomb to close this game out. They've got things so under control here with the sheer amount of card advantage they've got and the ability to reshuffle the graves over and over. They can play it out the long game with just a wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. Don't know how much longer you can stick around. We'll make it an even 10 before you leave. Alright. Well, thank you for all the gift subs and sticking around as long as you did, no one. It has been a ton of support from you. And that has been absolutely insane. Thank you so much for all of that.
I am proud to fight by your side.
And 2 more gifted subs. A sub to I Am Ripley and Living Tyler 23 as we get crushed by the 4-color deck. Thank you very much, no one. This is by far the highest sub count I've ever had. We've got like 10 subs right now. Pretty much all from no one. So thank you very much for all of that. Oh, you'll make the subs an even... Oh my god, thank you. I thought you just meant it was going to be an even 10 minutes before you leave. Sometimes my brain doesn't work super hot. Yeah, no one, definitely the MVP today. Thank you very much for all of the support. This was just a super impromptu stream. I wanted to get a little bit more Amonkhet drafting in. And I woke up early, so I was like, might as well get a stream out and do a draft or 2. And it has been a super, super great stream with everybody hanging out and all of the subs from no one. Thank you very much. I missed my edifice, but I'm so dead here. I'm so astronomically dead here anyway. There's the survive. So I guess they're just a sick 4-color deck. There's like no mythic rare or rare bombs in their deck. They just drafted really well. This is a really, really nice strategy here from Vivi. Very impressive deck. And now we are mega dead on board, but yeah, they dropped down my favorite card last turn. Pick all of the removal and color fixing. If you want to do that strategy, sure. I don't think it's like the #1 deck to beat in the format, because there are really powerful aggressive decks that you are going to have issues with. But against just more standard draft decks or just like mid-range decks, you can do some great stuff, as you can see by me getting absolutely hosed. Absolutely demolished there. But yeah, that's definitely a deck you can do in the format, mainly off the back of cards like Oasis Ritualist. So 6-3 it will be for the draft. 6 wins, very respectable. Thank you for the
Still
25 bits,
6 wins.
Rivoke.
Very respectable.
And thank you, text-to-speech lady. She sounds so bored. Ooh, Drakehaven. You think the meta is to draft Scarab God? When I was really expecting it in that match, I'm like, they've got blue and black. They've got blue and black. They've almost drawn their whole deck. Scarab God to close things out there? Nah. Opponent doesn't even need it. They're just that good at drafting a consistent 4-color deck, which is incredibly impressive. So all power to our last opponent. I think that was the most impressive deck we played against. The other deck that we played against, we did play against twice and lose to it each time, so I do think it was a really good deck. But I think that was mainly just off of the power of having 3 trials and two copies of the best cartouche. So just casting trials and recasting cartouches, which is a pretty standard draft strategy that's super good in Amonkhet Remastered. Definitely not anything as off the walls as what our last opponent was doing. That was a super impressive deck in the last round. Well, I think I am in the end going to go ahead and just end the stream here. I was considering maybe just doing the drafting part of another draft, but I am a little concerned that if I do that, I might not finish the draft by the time the format's over, because we got like 38 hours. I would have to finish the draft tomorrow, and I don't know if I'll have time to play tomorrow. So it's possible that I do the drafting portion off the token entry, and then I just get the zero win rewards when it ends. So I think I will end the stream here, because I do not have time to hop into another draft tonight. But thank you all very much for stopping by and watching. If anybody's watching on YouTube, I don't even know if I'll upload this, but if it is on YouTube, thank you all very much for watching on YouTube and all the support lately there. It has been insane. Just so many positive comments and just way more views and subscribers than I ever expected this year. My plan at the start of the year was to do daily videos as long as I could and try to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at over 1,500 now, so thank you all for all that support on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you all for watching. I will see you again very soon for some more Magic Arena.